97.3 ESPN. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black studio, Mike Gill.
We are back on a Tuesday. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill along with Ryan Rothstein here in the Matt Black studios on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Ryan, the NFL never sleeps. I've been getting constant alerts about this guy getting cut, this guy being traded, and it's all because of the 4 p.m. deadline. So, Ryan, throughout the show, we got two big topics today. We got the Phillies and we got the Eagles. How are you doing on this Tuesday?
It's cut day. So you get cut. See you later to all the amateurs. It's an amateur hour day here, and we finally get to see what the final 53 looks like. Obviously a big day in the NFL and for the Birds, as you mentioned, Josh, but Phils. I mean, how about our Titans? It has just been a fun month of August to the point where I don't want it to end. I don't want the month of August to end in many ways because this team is just raking. I mean, a franchise record in home runs this month, Josh Hennig. 4 straight wins. They are seemingly, knock on wood, don't want to jinx it, coming together. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. And of course, the text board is open as always, 609-403-0973. Derek, the Diamondbacks fan, has already beat everybody to the punch. He's already on the text board, loaded up and ready to go to talk some baseball. So we'll get to him in a little bit. But, Ryan, I do want to get with the news at the top of the show here because as the Eagles, as of Sunday, they had to cut 17 guys. And they probably cut maybe a third of that as of 2 o'clock today. And they have made 3 moves according to Mike Garafolo, and I think these 3 moves are very interesting because I think it gives you an idea of where this team is going in terms of there's going to be a lot of roster gymnastics this week, and I think some people will be surprised that among the 3 wide receivers cut earlier this afternoon, one of them is Britton Covey. Now, for those who don't remember, I don't blame you for not remembering, Britton Covey didn't play at all in the preseason. He had a hamstring injury all month long, Ryan. And this is a guy who basically was on this roster because of his kick and punt return availability. And guess what? He was unavailable for the entire month.
Yeah, I mean, enough said. He's been a name in the summer, right? But to your point, he hasn't played. I mean, last year he played 19 snaps on offense. He didn't catch a pass, right? I mean, no disrespect. Having a legitimate guy that can return punts, return kicks, which you don't really return kicks anymore, but nonetheless, that's important and that's valuable. But there's plenty of guys that can do it. So I'm not surprised. I'm not upset, right? Like I don't know. I'm
kind of happy.
Why are you happy?
I think he was a waste of a roster spot.
I don't disagree with that. Like, listen, we're going to go through each and every quote transaction, who's been cut, obviously leading all the way up to 4 p.m. Eastern. But there's been nothing so far that I look at and say, wow, or wow, that's interesting. I mean, am I wrong with that?
I mean, there are some moves that have been made that are kind of weird. Like, for example, I mean, this whole situation in Arizona, for those who haven't been tracking, I mean, Jonathan Gannon, the former Eagles DC, is just proving again and again how much of a buffoon and imbecile he is.
Well, I think Sam Hinkie's in the front office out there.
I think Sam Hinkie was invited to be in that front office. He left.
Yeah, I mean, they are full-blown tank, right? So around the league, there's some interesting stories. Like I'll get on board with you with that. But here in Philly, we'll discuss them all, but there isn't really nothing. There's nothing eye-opening, is my point.
No, not necessarily, but I am curious to see, between now and 4 o'clock, do we get one of those trades that we've been kind of keeping our eyes on? Is Derek Barnett traded? Is Trey Sermon traded? I mean, for goodness sake, I still haven't seen if Jonathan Taylor is getting traded or not. So it kind of makes you wonder, are the Eagles, for example, Trey Sermon, if you're the Eagles, Ryan, are you waiting on Jonathan Taylor to get traded to then see who the runner-up in that sweepstakes was and try to dump Trey Sermon on that team, for example?
Man, that is a long fall from Jonathan Taylor. No disrespect to Trey Sermon, but yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't think Howie's going out of his way as far as roster decisions for Jonathan Taylor, right? I think Howie's mindset is let's just see how the cookie crumbles.
Right.
If it crumbles our way, great. If not, then it doesn't. I would imagine that's how he's going about it, and I'm sure there's plenty of suitors out there for Trey Sermon, so that is a name to keep an eye on.
And again, Derek Barnett's the other name to keep an eye on.
Yes.
I mean, I've had multiple people texting me yesterday saying, I hope he's gone. I hope this is real. I can't stand that guy anymore. Nick Sirianni is infamous for saying it's him again, on television, on the cameras caught him when Derek Barnett committed the penalties. Barnett has outworn his welcome here, and he doesn't really have a role at this point. So why not trade him? I just don't know. Like, in a world where Boogie Basham got traded today, I got to assume that Derek Barnett is going to get traded.
I don't know. Hey, you know what happens when you assume. Josh,
yeah, I know. That's a good point.
It's if you're a team out there that says, you know what, I'll make a play for Derek Barnett. Wouldn't you want to wait and try and scoop him up? Or like what is his value, aka worth?
What's Boogie Basham's value?
Nothing. What was that?
Derek Barnett's got better career stats than Boogie Basham. Boogie Basham is one of the best football names of all time, and he's an average at best defensive end in the NFL.
Can you give the details of that trade for the listeners? I obviously know the details, but for the listeners, do you, off the top of your head, what was the?
Off the top of my head, I don't remember exactly. Okay. I'm pulling it up right now.
So it was probably like a fifth or sixth, I would assume. So yeah, maybe you grab a seventh.
I mean, there's
rounder.
so many guys who have been waived and cut and traded so far. I'm like scrolling still.
Yeah, it's just one after the next. It's nonstop.
I mean, Corey Clement's going to be a free agent, according to reports. There's some local news for you.
Wow, I didn't even know he was on a team.
He was on the Cardinals.
There you go. That checks out. That makes a lot of sense.
What's more surprising, the Cardinals cutting Corey Clement or Colt McCoy?
Man, I would probably say Colt McCoy, right? I mean, you need a quarterback out there.
Well, they got Josh Dobbs apparently. That they're excited about that.
Good luck.
The deal is Boogie Basham is going to the Giants. By the way, former Bills offensive coordinator Brian Dable, who was in Buffalo when they drafted Boogie Basham, is trading for Boogie. What a name, by the way. They are swapping. They're swapping. It looks like 6-round picks.
Okay.
So, if Boogie Basham gets a pick swap, I think Derek Barnett at least deserves a 5th-round pick or a 6th-round pick or something.
Probably, but the Eagles are also most likely in the mindset of let's just unload this dude, right? And anything in return we'll gladly take at this point.
I mean, how do you feel about pick swaps? Are you a fan?
Huge fan. I love a good pick swap, Josh.
I mean, you mentioned Sam Hinkie earlier. He was the legend at that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, when it's a high value pick swap, woo, yeah, sign me up for that. But when we're talking about Boogie Basham and Derek,
look, folks, we're just trying to find ways to plug Boogie Basham's name into this. By the way, I will tease this for you, Ryan.
Okay.
When you're in here on Friday with me and we do some college football talk, I got some great college football names for you for this season.
Okay. I love that type
I'm
of
already
segment.
Compiling this list for you.
Good.
I was up at like 1:00 in the morning last night, and I kind of just went on a little bit of a rabbit hole,
Yeah, you got sucked in a dark rabbit hole of random weird names. I'm for it. That's a great tease for Friday. There you go.
But back to the Eagles today, but back to Covey and Barnett and all these guys. It's interesting to see how this roster is playing out because we know, Ryan, the roster that's announced at 4 p.m. today is not necessarily the roster they'll be playing on week 1. So it'll be interesting to see. It's almost like when somebody comes out with like the beta version of something And then like a month later, they come out with like the official version of the product. I feel like that's what we're getting with today. The Eagles would give us the beta version of the roster. And then tomorrow, we're going to get the real version of the roster. Because tomorrow, for those who don't know, 12 o'clock is the waiver deadline. Basically, all the waiver claims get announced, and then teams are allowed to make their practice squads. And as we know, in Eagle land, the practice squad is a huge part of the roster manipulation.
Oh, absolutely it is. The Eagles are spectacular at it, of course, led by Howie Roseman. But, another name that is worth throwing out there is legend Greg Ward. He's gone. Not that he had a role, but he's a name.
He'll be back on the practice squad.
Yeah, most likely.
I was listening to, I forget who it was, but someone brought up the fact that, every year when the Eagles play mobile quarterbacks, Greg Ward plays that quarterback in practice.
Right. So there's value for him.
Yeah, he literally is like the scout team quarterback for like eternity, basically. And I say good for him. Good for Greg Ward to parlay an above average college quarterback career into an average NFL wide receiver career where he is the eternal practice squad quarterback.
It's a great gig. Sign me up for that gig. You're making good money and you're just running around on the practice squad.
And you get to play in the NFL. You get to dress on Sunday as like you're one of the team.
Exactly.
It's a good life.
It's a great life.
I think Greg Ward might have one of the best lives.
I would say so.
It's him and the backup quarterback.
No. Backup quarterback is a nightmare life. The best life is third string quarterback.
I'm going to go third string.
Third string, right? Third string.
So you're saying Tanner McKee has the life.
Yeah. AJ Feely back in the day. If you're him, you're like, man, I'm actually playing. I really enjoyed making my six figures, just chilling. You don't have to worry about game prep for that week. You're in the NFL. You're a quarterback, stress-free, and full bill of health.
I mean, certainly less stress than the punter or the kicker. So we all can agree on that.
There you go. And there is punter news for the Eagles. I mean, are we surprised at that decision, Josh? Probably not.
Yes and no, because on one hand, it's like, why did we wait this long?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we know the Eagles want to unload Sipos for a while, right? The guy is just not a good NFL punter. Like I've literally documented this on 97.3 ESPN.com. The dude is in the top 20 of nothing punt wise in the NFL. Like he's not even among the top half of the league. So, him getting released doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is we don't have somebody else in here yet.
I mean, that's not a big surprise, right? Like they clearly are keying in on someone, and there seems to be some good options out there, for the Eagles.
Are they good options or are they just options?
Probably options, but they're certainly better than, Sipos.
Now, let me ask you a question, because you know how Eagle fan is. We have the text board open at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig along with Ryan Rothstein filling in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday NFL cutdown day. Do you even consider bringing in Punt God?
Matt
Ariza.
Not Trevor Ariza. Yeah, absolutely. He's a name I brought up last year on a show I was doing elsewhere one day because dude, he is just a legend. Yeah, as long as he's in the clear and he can be counted on each and every Sunday, yes. I don't care what his character is. As long as he's going to show up on Sunday and hit bombs, sign me up.
For those who don't know the full story, Matt Ariza has been cleared of all charges, basically, that were against him. And basically, if you read the report from, I think it was USA Today, they had this whole breakdown. Basically, he was framed for the whole thing. Like, it's really disturbing, like, what this guy went through. The guy's NFL career was literally ripped away from him over false charges, basically.
Yeah, that's rough.
So, and now the guy's reputation is basically just, someone poured horse manure on his reputation, basically. So,
well, if that's the case, which I'm not doubting it, but seems to be the reality and an unfortunate one, but he'll be able to get another shot. And he's an extreme talent. It sounds ridiculous that we're even giving it that much play right now, but hey, it is one of the more important positions, and the Eagles are without one.
You could argue one of the 4 reasons why the Eagles lost the Super Bowl is because their punter was Aaron Sipas. That punt, it was horrible in a crucial point of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you are an NFL punter in the biggest game of the year, and you didn't do your job.
Against an offense like the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, I think it's a fair point that you bring up. If you're going to botch a punt, that can be the difference in winning or losing a game, especially a Super Bowl game.
By the way, I love all these teams that are cutting kickers, by the way. The Rams just cut their kicker, too. Like, the entire league feels like they're cutting or trading kickers at this point.
Well, I mean, I can really get us down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down, but I've brought up in the past, like it's time. There's no kick returns anymore, which I hate. I'm a fan of the kick return. It's just you kick off and it goes into the back of the end zone. That's it. When do you really consider getting rid of kicking field goals altogether if you're the NFL? And people say that's insanity. That's part of football. And you're right. Right now it is part of football. But I think it's something that should be considered.
I think it's something that has to be discussed at some point, because at what point do we just not have enough good players at it? You know what I mean? The kicker is turning, like back in the day, when we were younger, like we're so old, but when we were younger, it felt like there was like 20 kickers who was like automatic, right?
Yeah, but that could just be a result of the offense not being as dominant as it is in today's NFL. So there was more opportunities and more of an emphasis on kicking field goals and getting points that way. But now every defense stinks on ice. Every offense is explosive. Every offense is putting up 24 to 40 points a week, right? So you're not getting that same type of a style of football. Is that fair?
It's fair. I think it's a little deeper than I just think kickers like NFL offensive linemen stink today because they're not trained properly.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I've listened to saying this out loud actually sounds funny. I've listened to a lot of offensive linemen bring this up on podcasts. I've heard Jason Kelsey say this. I've heard Trey Thomas say this. I've heard guys like, Mike Golick Jr., who played offensive line at Notre Dame, bring this up. They basically said that like technique is almost like dead in today's NFL. And so many guys have no idea like where to place their hands, how to move their feet. And like, that's why it's almost even more impressive the Eagles have Jeff Stoutland, because it's like half the league has no idea what they're doing. And I kind of look at kickers the same way. Like, and again, it's not an apples to apples comparison, but so I was in Ocean City this weekend for Battle by the Beach, and IMG Academy, which was the Saturday night showcase game against St. Joe's Prep from PA. IMG is like a college football program that plays at the high school level, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
They have 2 kickers. Number 45 is a machine. Number 29, not so good. The problem is that they needed number 45 to play a different position during the game. So number 29 was shanking kicks halfway through the goalposts, knuckling it. And it's like the technique between the 2 guys was like night and day. Like, I am no kicking expert, and I can visibly see that one guy's footwork is way better than the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you.
So that's happening at that level. Can we imagine the conversations that are going on at the pro level? Like, you know what you're doing, right? Yeah? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, never mind. No, you don't. But I'm going to completely transition us as we're getting near the end of this segment. We got to talk Phillies in the first segment. I mean, it would be an absolute embarrassment if we didn't. Right? This is a team. Can we transition to the Phillies for the last 5 minutes?
Sure. If I can just throw out there that Chosen Anderson has been cut by the Dolphins, and it makes me very happy.
Okay, good. He is not the chosen one.
No, he's not. That's why I love it, because the guy literally changed his name from Robbie Anderson to Chosen Anderson. And all of a sudden now he can't play in the NFL.
Oh, that's what he gets.
Exactly.
That's what he gets.
I love it.
There you go.
I'm an evil person. I know.
This Phillies team, Josh, and the listeners out there, and text in 609-403-0973. 4 straight wins, and they are just raking the darn baseball right now. I mean, how about this stat? Phillies averaged 4.47 runs per game in the first 107 games this season. Since August 1st, they've averaged over 6.24 to be exact, moving them from 17th to 10th overall. They've set a franchise record for the month of August for home runs. Harper's power is back. And how about T squared, baby? Trey Standing O Turner is just on fire. This team right now, I said this 2 weeks ago on the air here, Josh, this team is extremely exciting. And now, I mean, just put an exclamation mark on that comment because I'm fired up about the Phils. I really am.
To me, it's another example of why you can't get mad about a losing streak in May. Because it doesn't matter. Like if you are hot this time of year, that's what matters, right? Like when you get out and going this time of year, that's when it gets exciting. That's when the juices are flowing. Like, when they were losing games at the end of April and in May, and people were getting all bent out of shape, and I was just like, dude, Harper just came back. Ranger Suarez just came back from an injury. This team is still finding themselves. They're learning how to play with the pitch clock. Like, give it time. 162 games is a stinking long season. So to me, this is the time of year to get excited about the Phillies. Trey Turner is having the greatest month probably of his career at this point. The guy is hitting 17 straight home games. I mean, never go on the road, guys. Cancel all the road games. Just stay at home at this point, the way Trey Turner's hitting.
But that's also why these games matter right now and are extremely important. And that's sort of Captain Obvious thing to say, but no, it's not. Like the Phillies need to, at the very least, get the number 1 seed in the NL wild card for that exact reason, to at least have that first opening best of 3 series in the playoffs at home at the bank, because we all know what that environment did for this Phillies team last year in the playoffs.
He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig. We'll talk more Phillies coming up next with Frank Close, our Phillies beat writer for 97.3 ESPN. The Phillies mailbag is out, and we'll talk with Frank about that coming up on the other side here on 97.3. To come, we will talk football. 4 o'clock is the cutdowns, and Adam Kaplan will join us to review all the Eagles' latest roster moves at football at 4. Plus, hey, Ryan, I got some fantasy football talk coming up at 5 o'clock. Buddy of mine, Andy McNamara, joins me throughout the year on game night. We'll get into some fantasy football because rumor has it, Ryan, that you will be joining the 97.3 Fantasy Football League.
There are rumors circulating about that. I have to meet with my agent, and we'll have to figure out what's best. But it is a possibility.
So we'll get into more of that coming up throughout the show. He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig. Filling for Mike Gill on a Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Labor Day deals are here. Yes. Right now at Bennett Chevrolet, we've got all our red hot Labor Day deals going on now. These are special holiday sale offers you won't find anywhere else. No way, no how. While other dealers are still selling at or above MSRP, Bennett's selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. Forget about MSRP prices, because at Bennett, you'll get the same deal employees get. You'll save even more with available 1.9% financing. 1.9%. And right now, Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yep, you heard right. Bennett's giving a minimum $10,000 for any rusted out old rattle trap you can drive or even tow to Bennett Chevy. Imagine how much more you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's famous non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials light trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials light trap, insecticide-free protection.
Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Get up to an additional $1,500 off select major kitchen appliances. And save $100 off select laundry pairs, priced $1,396 or more. Plus, pick up the latest DeWalt PowerStack 20-volt max 5 amp hour battery kit and get a select Bear tool free. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/30. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details. While supplies last.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
If these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hustle over to Resort Casino Hotel and shake your groove thing all night long. Dust off those go-go boots and get ready to immerse yourself at the nostalgic and groovy Disco Inferno, a 70s tribute show every Sunday this summer, featuring the music of the Bee Gees, Donna Summer, ABBA, plus many more. This is a show you won't want to miss. We're celebrating 45 years all summer long. This is the summer you've been waiting for. For tickets and more information, go to resortsac.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
A Rottweiler named Whiskey with hours to live brought back to full health. A terrier named Snoopy, paralyzed in all 4 legs, who ran and played again within months. These dogs are known as Marty's Miracles. Dogs brought back to health by Dr. Marty Goldstein.
I've helped countless dogs thrive with one simple concept. Your dog needs a high-meat diet similar to what their ancestors ate in the wild.
Called the Miracle Worker by Forbes magazine, he's now created a premium dog food for you called Nature's Blend. It's the easiest way to support your dog's easy digestion, nourished skin, playful energy, and most importantly, their healthy, full life. For a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get free premium dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511.
I'm so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All pets are unique. Your pet's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances, like a new LG refrigerator capable of making 4 different types of ice. Or an LG oven with built-in air fryer for healthier, crispier options. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online, your innovative new appliances are also just a click away. Get up to $700 off select appliances, plus an extra $1,000 off LG kitchen appliances, only at the Home Depot. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
My dad has a cold, but also has high blood pressure. That's why I got him Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure for fast, powerful nighttime relief. Unlike some ordinary cold medicines, it's specially formulated for people like my dad. NyQuil High Blood Pressure is sugar-free, alcohol-free, and decongestant-free.
Vicks NyQuil High Blood Pressure. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, fever, sore throat, cold, and flu for people with high blood pressure.
Like my dad.
Medicine. Use as directed.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
228 here on the Sports Bash. I am Josh Hennig. He is Ryan Rothstein. We're both going in for Mike Gill on a Tuesday edition. And of course, it's a Tuesday, and that means it's time for the Phillies mailbag. Phillies win again last night. Trey Turner, 17 straight home games. He has got a hit. All that and more we'll get into with Frank Los, our insider from 97.3 ESPN Economic, joins us on the Elite Acura hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer of Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at EliteAcura.com. And Frank Los joins us now. Frank, how are you doing on this Tuesday?
I am great. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing pretty good. So we first got to start with, before we get to the mailbag, the aforementioned Trey Turner, Frank, because Trey Turner is just absolutely big. He might be having the best month of his career at this point. I mean, there are people literally wondering, like, how many home runs could he finish with the way he is hitting? Frank, just kind of big perspective. Like, what is your big picture view on Trey Turner this month?
This is Trey Turner. This is what the Phillies were paying $300+ million for. This is exactly the type of player that they wanted to add to the organization. Someone who could play some good defense and make a lot of good contact with the bat. to me, I never doubted that he would return to being Trey Turner, but this was clearly a situation in which he just had to adjust to his new home, and boy, has he adjusted in a really big way. And certainly, as you were just saying, what he's doing at home has just been tremendous.
Yeah, talk about just not just the attendance at home, but just the vibe around this team right now, Frank, and really the impact that the city has provided, right? Like we saw it last year in the playoffs, but we're seeing attendance numbers now of 40,000 plus. We talked about Trey Turner and how well he's been producing at home, and how valuable that can be for this team, obviously, come October and hopefully into the playoffs.
It's hard to find a player that played in Philadelphia that doesn't speak of the boost that the fans give. I can think of an exception here or there, like certainly Scott Rowland, it didn't end well, and Billy Wagner never seemed to get it when he was a Philly, but it's a place that's become a destination. People want to play, and especially when they see the likes of Bryce Harper come to town, it really sets a new precedent for the league and for what players think of playing in this town. I can see how it's intimidating if you remember back to the 2008 World Series, and I can't remember which one of the Rays it was, but somebody said something to Jason Worth like, "Wow, how do you play like this every day?" And at that point, they said, I think he said in the year-end video, like, "Oh yeah, at that point we knew we had them." But it's certainly a big boost. It's intimidating for the opposition, and I've been to 25 different major league ballparks around this country, and I don't see that kind of sixth man, so to speak. I know they have more than that on the field in baseball, but you think of the sixth man in NBA being the fans. I can see that analogy working great for this Phillies fan base.
We're talking with Frank Close, and we'll get to the questions in the mailbag, which that article is up, of course, on 973ESPN.com. Go check that out, but we'll get into that in just a minute. But Dan and EHT hit us up on the text board a few minutes ago, and it's just something I figured I'd throw your way. He wants to know, are the Phillies peaking too soon? And we could shake our head and say that's an idiotic question, but is this the right time for the Phillies to be piecing it together right now? It seems like the answer is yes, but you just never know in the game of baseball.
I think there's really something to be said. The team that's the hottest down the stretch often goes deep in the playoffs. Last year, if you remember the Phillies, they started their peak in June, and they actually kind of ended the season not necessarily peaking. Remember, they sort of backed in to the playoffs last year because they had to rely on the Milwaukee Brewers faltering a little bit. Otherwise, they might not have made the playoffs. So, but I think that's a hurdle they got over. And I think once they got to the playoffs last year, it was all about business. And the moment I think it was Gene Segura had a big hit against the Cardinals, and they were off. Like they were focused and ready to take care of business. So I'm not so worried about a peak, but you definitely do, I will say, want to be playing well at the end of the season. That's the ideal. Although last year they defied that usual. So I'm not worried about this team. I think they're going to have a really good stretch run, provided they're all healthy. I mean, that's the caveat, right? I mean, as Josh was just saying a while ago, the Phillies were without Bryce Harper and Ranger Suarez, and they had to figure out, and not to mention they lost Rhys Hoskins at the last possible minute, and then his sub Derek Hall also got hurt. So they had a lot to really figure out as they were going into April and May, and I think that they're kind of hitting their groove. So I mean, knock on wood, this bunch that they have healthy, I think they're going to do some good things, and they should give you a pretty good September that the fans can be happy about.
Talk with Frank Close, our Phillies insider from 97.3 ESPN.com. The Phillies mailbag is up right now. Speaking of the aforementioned Rhys Hoskins, Frank, James asked you on the mailbag, what is your opinion on bringing back Hoskins? And Frank, I got to tell you, I'm 50-50 on this. I'm completely conflicted. So let's see if you can sway me one way or the other.
Well, for me, I'm a no. And that is not meant to be disrespectful to Rhys Hoskins in any way. I would say that this Phillies offense really missed him this year. In fact, I think that they could have dealt better with the Harper injury, and certainly good offense also helps when you have a loss of a pitcher like Ranger Suarez. But I think for the Phillies, it's probably the right time to move on. I think there's a few reasons for that. One is we know that they have to make their defense a little bit better, and part of that means Kyle Schwarber can't be in left field. I think that that's something they absolutely cannot do. They need to have him in the DH spot. And I would be more comfortable if Rhys Hoskins was a designated hitter. And, he had a pretty decent 2022, but 2021, he was -6 defensive runs saved at first base. 2022, he was a lot better. He was +3 defensive runs saved at first base. But I think, when he coming off the injury, I think he's more likely to be the 2021 than 2022 because he's got to figure out how to be mobile again on that knee. So I think he's probably the best thing for him would be to be a designated hitter next year. And I think that, a place like San Francisco, he might be a really nice fit there. Maybe play some first base. But I think for the Phillies, you want to prioritize your defense. Means Schwarber is a DH. It could mean now here's the other thing too. Is Bryce Harper going to remain at first base long term? I think that's a possibility. Some of the organization have talked about it. And I think Alec Boehm could also end up being at first base if they find a really good defensive third baseman. But again, that's contingent on Bryce Harper being in the outfield. And with all these questions, I don't think there's necessarily a good spot for Rhys Hoskins on this roster. And I think that what we're seeing now is that when they're full strength, they can hit just fine without him. Certainly they could not hit just fine without him in that first part of the season. As you just heard Josh mention the numbers. How many more runs they're scoring now that Bryce Harper is getting into the swing of things. So they really could have used him early, but I think they're doing just fine right now without that bat. So I would prioritize finding a really good defensive third baseman or first baseman or outfielder. It depends on how the Phillies have some options too, because at least if nothing else, that Bryce Harper could play first base and be a good first baseman. If you go back to the outfield, that's an option. If Alec Boehm needs to go to first base full time, I think that's a good option too.
I got to be honest, Frank. If you told me the lineup next year had Bryce Harper at first for the entire year, Kyle Schwarber at DH, Rojas in center, and Martian left, Castellanos in right, and Boehm at third, I don't think a lot of Philly fans are going to be upset about that. I mean, Ryan, what do you think? I mean, if that's the Phillies lineup next year, are we really upset with that?
No. Why should we be upset about that? Right? I mean, you just mentioned a strong group of guys there. I mean, Schwarber's just been arguably one of the best signings in certainly recent Phillies history. Harper's just been MVP-like. So, no, I think upset, far from it. Different, it is a little bit of a different conversation, but good topic there, Frank. Let's get back to the mailbag. And Drew asks a really good one. The Phillies 2023 MVP is blank.
I don't have an answer to this yet. And it's really interesting because I think if we went back to the first half, we could say, well, Nick Castellanos probably was, because he's the one that essentially made the offense do anything that they did leading up until about the All-Star break. But since then, certainly we've seen some tremendous play from Bryce Harper as he got his power stroke back. And we've seen Trey Turner start to pick it up. So it seems like nobody has had their foot on that full-blown accelerator the whole way. I mean, Nick Castellanos is still being productive, but he's not playing to the level he was in the first half, perhaps, when he put the entire offense on his back. And if you go to the pitching side, I mean, Nola and Wheeler, they're probably still your top two pitchers, but they had their lumps early in the season too. Was it adjusting to the pitch clock, as Joss was just saying, could be a reason why a series in May they might have had some hiccups? But it's really hard to say that they are the dominant one. So I think this is a question that's going to answer itself over the next 4 weeks. Is Bryce Harper going to continue doing what he's been doing in the last week, 10 days, with his power stroke? I think if he does this for another month, well, I think he's the MVP, even though he wasn't with the team to start the season. Could Trey Turner do the same thing? I think that's a possibility, and it would be a great story that, maybe he wasn't the best player all year long, but he's most valuable in the sense that he picked the team on his back and rode them down the stretch and into the playoffs. So I think this is one that's going to be answered down the stretch. I don't have an answer for you right now, guys.
Frank, I want to throw in a text from a listener at 609-403-0973. And they said, is this team better than last year's team? He says they have a better shortstop, essentially replaced Hoskins with Harper. Yes, they're better. That's from Tom in Summers Point. Do you agree with that assessment, that this team has become better by the players they've replaced?
I think so. I mean, a lot of that began at the trade deadline last year because they didn't have Brandon Marsh until the end of July. They had a hole at shortstop with Didi Gregorius kind of coming and going before they finally made the decision to cut ties. And up the middle, you're better with Trey Turner at shortstop and Bryson Stott at second base. And I do think, and I've said this on the air for years, even before he came up, Bryson Stott probably profiles best at second base. And I think he's been doing a heck of a job playing second base. So they're now settled in these positions. Alec Boe, by the way, he's only been better than he was last year. I think that's very fair to say, despite the fact he's been bouncing back and forth between third and first, which is really impressive. And then if you look in the outfield, yeah, I think this is this is an interesting arrangement that you're probably at your fullest when you have Rojas or Pache, who will be back soon in center field, and Marsh in left. Your defense is greatly improved there. Last year, of course, with Harper having to be the DH, Schwarber and Castellanos both had to be in the field, even though that wasn't the plan. And Castellanos, I can say, has probably improved his defense this year. So the pitching staff, I think it's better as well, better bullpen. I think it's very easy to say this is a better team than the Phillies had last year.
Frank, before we let you go, I did want to throw a question at you because we've been having a good back and forth with a texter for the last 2 weeks, Derek, who's a Diamondbacks fan. And I want to know, what is your perspective on the Phillies compared to the Diamondbacks? Because, Derek has been very passionate in his perspective that the Diamondbacks are better than a lot of people are giving them credit for.
Okay, I think that my perspective on the Diamondbacks is that I think they still have a lot of holes. And the reason they have some holes is I think that they were kind of conservative at the trade deadline. I was actually a little disappointed that the Diamondbacks didn't do more. Tommy Pham was really their one acquisition. They traded their closer. Yeah, they got another one, but that was kind of an interesting, not usual thing to do at a trade deadline, is to trade your closer if you're trying to win, because it sends a weird message to the team. But I think they've kind of regrouped, and I think that's good. I think so much of Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly to anchor that rotation. It's certainly Corbin Carroll is one of the finest young players in the game, and not to mention they've got Walker at first base. So I think they've got a lot going for them in Arizona. I was a guest on some show, I can't remember which one it was, a few months ago, and they asked me of the Marlins and the Diamondbacks who I thought might fall off that were contenders. I said the Marlins. I said I thought the Diamondbacks could hang in there. So we'll see. I mean, I like them better than San Francisco right now, and the Cubs, they're a little banged up at the moment. So missing Marcus Stroman for some time there. I think we're in a situation where the Phillies are probably a contender for the wild card, and it might go Cubs and Diamondbacks beyond that.
He's Frank Close, our Phillies insider. Check out the full mailbag over at 973ESPN.com. Follow him on Twitter at Frank Close, and he joins us every week on the Elite Acura Hotline. Good stuff today, Frank.
Thank you, Josh.
Josh, along with Ryan Rothstein here in the Matt Black Kia Studios on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to more of the text board. Derek, the Diamondbacks guy, texted more than that, so we'll get to that on the other side as well.
Oh, jeez.
And more Phillies talk here at 609-403-0973. Also, it's NFL Cutdown Day. We're keeping you updated throughout the day on who's coming, who's going around the NFL, along with Ryan Rothstein at Wise Rye. We can follow him on Twitter. I'm at Josh Hennig. X Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter, folks, because it's still twitter.com is the domain handle. So if you type it, it's not like you type in twitter.com, it just automatically directs you to x.com. It only shows up at x.com if you copy the link on your phone. That's the thing I've learned the hard way about this. So that's why I'm so confused when Ryan will send me something. I'll be like, what's x.com? I'm like, oh, never mind, it's Twitter. It completely befuddles me still. But enough of my personal issues with social media. We'll be back with more of the Eagles, Phillies, NFL. Still to come here on 97.3 ESPN.
A sports station that hits a home run every time.
The 1-1 hit in the air, left field. That one way back, on its way and out of here. Home run, left field, Trey Turner.
It's 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's home for the best Phillies sports talk.
Hello, I'm Atlantic County Executive Denny Levinson. From our beautiful beaches to countless entertainment and recreational destinations, there's so much to enjoy in Atlantic County. But with thousands of residents and visitors hitting the road this summer, it's important to travel safely and never drive impaired. Last year, 64% of all fatal motor vehicle crashes in Atlantic County were alcohol or drug related. These crashes were senseless and preventable. If you plan to drink alcohol or are under the influence of drugs, marijuana, or prescription, don't drive. Atlantic County Police Departments will be participating in the statewide Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign through Labor Day weekend. Officers will be arresting motorists who choose to put themselves and others in danger. Remember, if you feel different, you drive different. Let's continue to work together to prevent impaired driving and protect our community.
We're going abroad for the first time in years, to Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know with a new name and look. If you're a member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services and can continue to see the doctors you trust in our New Jersey network. And if you need health insurance, count on us for quality, affordable coverage. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. Dayquil Kids Berry from Vicks. Dayquil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that Dayquil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
Dayquil Kids Berry. The Kids Berrylicious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
Okay, class, our first lesson is math. 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals...
One heck of a great deal.
The math is simple at Matt Blatt Kia. Put 0 down, pay 0 interest, and make 0 payments for 90 days on every new Kia in stock. Or get up to $8,000 off MSRP on every 2023 EV6 GT in stock. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you released so you can drive your new Matt Blatt Kia with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 90 days. And we finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through Cap 1. Excludes EVs. 36 months at $27.77 per thousand. To Tier 1 customers. Expires 9/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Our locally owned and operated small businesses are the heartbeat of our community, and the 97.3 ESPN South Jersey Industry Aces stand out as leaders in their fields, like Tomorrow's Wellness Center in Northfield. You rise to the occasion. Visit tomorrowswellnesscenter.com.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
Along with Ryan Rothstein, I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, still to come on the show, we'll talk with Adam Kaplan for Football and Fort Power by the Inside the Birds podcast. Andy McNamara will talk NFL and fantasy football with us coming up at 5 p.m. And coming up in the next hour, if you missed it, as some credit, the Eagles' elite pass rusher was on the morning show this morning on 97.3 ESPN, and we will run it back for you, some of the things that he had to say when he was interviewed by Freddie Coleman and Jay Williams this morning on the radio. But Ryan, we wanted to get back to the Phillies. I know there are some questions or thoughts that you had coming out of our conversation with Frank there.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the text from Dan in EHT is an interesting topic of conversation, right? Like, are the Phillies peaking too soon? And I'm not trying to be Mr. Negative, and I don't think Dan in EHT is trying to be that way either. But to Frank Close's point, you want to be at your best at the right time, and you start to look at this Phillies team and what they've done, and you say, all right, it's not even September yet. Are they going to be able to either A, continue this pace all the way into the postseason, or slow down and pick it back up again in time for the postseason? And maybe it doesn't matter, but I think recent history in Major League Baseball will tell you otherwise, that yes, it does matter, Josh.
I think it's interesting because I think that when the Phillies play like this, it gives the fans more hope that they can make a deep run. Whereas if you just had the kind of season that you had, and let's say if the whole season was like June and July every other month, I think fans would be a little less hopeful, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I think for the most part, it's difficult for fans to dive fully in to the Phillies because it's just tough for any fan base. It's tough to be a baseball fan because we always point it out. It's just a marathon. You pointed it out in the last segment. It's just a long grind of a season, and you just don't know how to interpret the play that you see throughout it and what to make of it, for better or worse. So it's hard to get fully on board with the team, is my point. I fully agree with that.
I think the other thing for me is that I just feel like I'm happy that they're playing well this time of year because, we had the conversation in the past, whether it's you and me or me and Mike Gill, about the fact that nobody remembers what happened in April with this team because we were also focused on other things.
Feels like years ago.
Like we were the entire month of April. Every time I walked in here, Ryan, here in the 97.3 ESPN studio, and I felt like every conversation was Eagles draft, Sixers playoffs.
Of course.
That nobody even barely thought about the Phillies. And it was like people were so disconnected from this team at the beginning of the year. So it's like, well, good that you get hot now and not back then, because not to be me, but nobody cared back then.
Yeah, I mean, some cared, but I'm with you. It was in the back seat. It certainly wasn't driving the bus for a variety of reasons that you've already mentioned, Josh. So yeah, it's a good thing that they're starting to put it together right now, that Trey Turner's starting to put it together. Bryce Harper's getting 100% healthy. His power is clearly, quote, back. And the city's behind him, man. I mean, we're getting 40,000 a night at Citizens Bank Park. It's a playoff atmosphere night in and night out. And the other thing that the Phillies have going for them, Josh, in my opinion, is meaningful games. Or like they're not the Atlanta Braves where they're 14 games up and they can hit that cruise control button. They need to continue to win. They need to continue to win series in order just to get into the postseason. So I think that's going to give them a chance, at least, to be playing their best ball at the right time.
I'm a fan of how this team has evolved this year. And I don't know if that necessarily means they're going to win a championship, Brian, but I just like the fact that this team has gotten better throughout the year. And you know what? If that standing ovation for Trey Turner becomes the rallying point for this team to make another World Series run,
it's unbelievable.
Then it's going to be a great Disney movie one day. That's what I know.
It really does feel like a Disney movie. It's listen, I'll take it. Whatever it takes. I mocked it at the time. But heck, if that's what we're going to look back on when we're standing at the parade, knock on wood, then I'm all for it, baby.
He's Ryan Rothstein at WiseRye on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it nowadays. I'm at Josh Hennig on the social media platform known as Twitter X. Coming up, we'll get into what does Hassan Reddick have to say about his former defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, and his new defensive coordinator, Sean Desai. Plus, we'll get you the latest on the Eagles roster moves. According to reports, they have 7 more cuts to go, Ryan, until they get down to the initial 53-man roster. Keep it tuned here at 97.3 ESPN and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Saturday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. The hunt for the national championship begins in Happy Valley as the 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions host the West Virginia Mountaineers. Hi, this is TJ Reeves. Join LeVar Arrington and me for all the action as James Franklin and the Nittany Lions get a tough opening week test against upset-minded West Virginia. It's number 7 Penn State and West Virginia.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins after Notre Dame football.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. Matt Blatt Nissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Staples has big savings on everything you need for back to school or stocking up the office. Save on all your school essentials from notebooks to markers. Save on everything you need for travel, like luggage, portable tech, and travel-size personal items. Plus, save on signs, banners, and posters from Staples Print and Marketing Services. And now at Staples, you can save even more with $10 off document printing when you spend $40 or more. Get everything for the office and the classroom for less at Staples. Ends 9/30. Exclusions and restrictions apply. See associate or visit staples.com/print for details.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Turn your home into restricted airspace. Tell incoming flights you want them diverted. The new Raid Essentials Light Trap plugs into the wall and uses light to attract, then trap flying insects like fruit flies and mosquitoes. Its 24/7 continuous attraction provides insecticide-free protection that's people and pet friendly. Consider air service interrupted. New Raid Essentials Light Trap. Insecticide-free protection.
O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
When you wake up well-rested on a great mattress, everything becomes clear.
I should not use a chatbot to write my wedding vows.
Things you missed when you were tired finally reveal themselves.
My life coach has a terrible life.
Find your mattress at the Actually Really Seriously Best Sale of the Year for Real at Mattress Firm. Get a Sleepy's mattress and adjustable base for only $499.99, our lowest price ever, plus fast free delivery. The right mattress matters. We'll find yours. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
That's Mike saying good morning. It's the best he can do right now. Yeah, not a cloud in the sky. What Mike could use is a fresh start. And Irish Spring Body Wash. The fresh scent of Irish Spring and those sensational Irish Spring suds are just the reset Mike needs. Now he's ready
to go to work.
It's Sunday. Irish Spring.
When the spring hits you, you're ready. Pick up Irish Spring today.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances, like a new LG refrigerator capable of making 4 different types of ice. Or an LG oven with built-in air fryer for healthier, crispier options. Plus, with convenient shopping store and online, your innovative new appliances are also just a click away. Get up to $700 off select appliances, plus an extra $1,000 off LG kitchen appliances, only at the Home Depot. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Sail into summer in New Jersey. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Enjoy iconic shores, history, and culture, from dazzling cities to charming countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
A town square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is 97.3 ESPN, home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
He is hit! He stumbles! He's down!
WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, here's Mike Gill.
That's right. We're back. Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein here, hanging out with you on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Filling in for Mike Gill. He has the day off. 1 hour down as we open up the 3 p.m. hour. Hit us up on the text board, 609-403-0973, whether you want to talk Phillies, Eagles, NFL, or other. Whatever's on your mind, as always, we will get your text message involved into the show right here on the Sports Bash. Coming up in just a few minutes in this segment, Josh, I know you have been efforting, to put it nicely, to say the least, this Reddick audio as he was on the morning show for ESPN. Was it today?
This morning, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, it was funny because I only knew he was going to be on the show because driving home late last night after the gym and after going to the store, I heard the promo saying, coming up tomorrow morning, there was little things that play on the radio. I'd be like, it's on Reddick. All right. So, I decided we should probably check out what had to be said. And, a lot of times when people are on radio, national shows, the conversation goes differently, right, than what the local people would like. If you or I was interviewing Hassan Reddick, we might ask him different questions than the national people. So it's always interesting to see how a guy handles that environment, right? Like, it doesn't, is to me, Ryan, you've been doing this for a few years now. You're no rookie to this setup. Like, for you always listen to interviews, don't you? Wondering, are they going to ask a question I would ask?
100%. That's all we listen for. I know you do the same thing, and it's a lot different too, of course, when it's local, regional, and national, to your point. So, and it's not just for our side of the fence, it's Reddick's side of the fence.
Right.
When he comes on a Philly sports talk show, he knows he's talking to us, the fans, the local media. We know a lot about the team. We want to hear him say certain things and answer certain questions a certain way. Nationally, he's now representing us and the Eagles and himself. So he may go about things a little bit differently. So it's always interesting to see how they approach that.
So with that in mind, I thought it was interesting. And the full transparency, I am not going to play how they botched asking the question, because they attempted to ask the question a certain way and they realized they completely confused Reddick. But basically, one of the producers for the ESPN National Morning Show is an Eagles fan, Ryan. So his name is Patrick. And Patrick wanted to ask Reddick about the Super Bowl and, what happened, because this team had 70 sacks last year, right? And they basically got none in the biggest game of the year. So the question was asked to Reddick initially about, well, what was Gannon's role in the defense not getting the job done? And they asked him multiple questions about this. Was the first answer that Reddick gave to the initial question about, what was Gannon's role, according to Reddick, in the Super Bowl, and what they did defensively.
I felt like Jonathan, I felt like Gannon, he knew what type of team he had. He had a great D-line. He had great corners. He had smart, linebackers. I felt like he just wanted to let us take over the game, rather than him trying to take over the game. And I could understand that. I could respect that. When you have playmakers, when you have a defense like we had last year, right? You want your guys to go out there. You don't want to do too much. You don't want to get in the way necessarily, you know? So that's just how I felt. I felt like he knew he had great playmakers, guys who can go out there and ball. I felt like he just wanted to keep it, simple so guys could play to, full speed, play up to their talent and their ability.
And I understand where Reddick's coming from here, Ryan. But
what did he really say there?
Well, what he was saying is that basically, Gannon basically said, hey, I got a good team, so I'm not going to make adjustments. I'm not going to tell these guys what they should or shouldn't do. And I think that that's part of the reason why you lost, because Gannon said, I got a good team, go out and play ball. And it's like, to Reddick, that may seem like a cool idea, but you got to make adjustments in football. This is the biggest game of the year. And Gannon was just like, I got a good team, go play ball.
But he tiptoed around saying it exactly how we interpreted it to your explanation there, Josh, right? Like, I don't necessarily disagree with you, but he said, listen, he knew the type of team we had and he let us go play ball. So I'm sure throughout a majority of the season, players were thrilled about that approach. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like, you can't say, all right, we appreciate this approach and he's letting us be us because we're so talented, and then put all the blame on him because he didn't do something he didn't do all year. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, and it doesn't to me. And here's why. Okay. Because for me, I'm a big believer in there's two sides of the same saying. Like, the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yes.
Well, what happens when it is broke? Don't you have to try to fix it?
Yeah, you could get a new one, but yes, you do have to fix it. I get where you're going.
So if Gannon and I feel it's safe to assume the guy's been coaching for a very long time and he's been around a lot of football and a lot of smart coaches, that he should have enough brain bandwidth and experience and visible knowledge to say, something's wrong here. We are getting shredded, and we are getting shredded the same exact way when we almost lost the Lions game, and when we lost to the Cowboys on Christmas Eve, and when we lost to the Washington Commanders.
I hear you, and I'm not letting him off the hook, okay? I'm no Gannon lover by any stretch. But when are the adjustments typically made?
Halftime.
Okay.
Well, in theory, they're halftime. They can be made in-game.
They can, but me and you both know it's much more difficult to make significant adjustments in game. Now, some of the best to ever do it on the sideline can do it and do it well, but most don't, is my point. You go into the locker room at halftime and you figure out what adjustments need to be made for your second half game plan. And things weren't going all that terribly at that point.
So, no, but the Chiefs made adjustments, and then you never adjusted to their adjustments.
Correct. But that's sort of the NFL in a sense. I'm not letting him off the hook. I think Gannon is vastly overrated. I don't even know if I give him this season. He may last this season just because they're tanking, but I would say by midseason next year, he's fired out in Arizona, because I just do not believe he has the DNA to be a legitimate NFL head coach. We'll see. I very well could be wrong about that.
I think I will disagree with you on one small point, though. I think Gannon has the DNA to be a head coach. I think the problem is that he wanted to be a head coach so badly that he was willing to take any job he can get his hands on. And I think that Arizona job requires someone of a different DNA than he has. I think that the Cardinals, they have fallen so far down the pit into purgatory that I don't think Gannon is the kind of coach.
Well, what kind of coach is he?
I think he's the kind of coach where if you give him a good roster, he can be a winning football coach. And I think
what's that really mean?
Well, like, for example, I think that there are coaches who helped elevate their players. Like, I think that, to use a specific example, I think Sean Payton is going to have success in Denver because I think that he's going to elevate the players on that team. I think Pete Carroll does that in Seattle.
Mike
I think
Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay. I think Sean McVay has shown that he can elevate people.
Dable did it last year.
Dable did it last year. I even would say Mike McDaniels. Mike McDaniels was competitive in a playoff game against the Bills with his third string quarterback. I don't think Gannon is a coach who elevates.
No.
I think he's a coach who says, like Reddick said, I know I have a good team. I'm going to get out of their way and let them play.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good coach, really. Right? Like, you have to be able to do both. Right? Like, Tomlin, just use him as an example here.
Sure.
He can get out of the way when he has a extremely talented roster, and he can coach them up and allow them to reach full potential and overachieve to get to 9 wins with a bad roster. Right? That's what the best coaches in the world do. So Gannon, if we're sitting here and saying, well, if you give him a really good roster, he can do okay. I don't know what we're saying. And on top of that, he just doesn't have the personality or character, in my opinion. And this is coming from me, who's never met the guy, but.
Well, you've heard enough of the weird things that
enough.
he said.
Right.
For you to be like, all right, this guy is a bit of a clown.
Exactly. And I don't know even how good of a defensive coach he is to the point of this whole conversation. So, do we feel optimistic and excited about Sean Desai? That's the part 2 to this conversation.
And that's what Reddick was asked about on the morning show on 97.3 ESPN this morning when he was asked by Freddie Coleman and Jay Williams about Sean Desai, because let's be realistic, Ryan, Eagle fans would like to know that. And, this was Reddick's explanation about Desai. Take a listen.
It's been good, having our new DC and Sean Desai come in. It's been good. He's been clicking. He's been finding ways to connect with the guys, and he came in with the goal of let's continue to play the same brand of football that we played last year. So, it's been a seamless transition. I feel like everybody's taking well to him. I feel like we're getting settled in the defense. The season is almost here, so we'll get to put it on tape, and see how it all comes together.
So what I heard there, same brand of football. Your thoughts? I mean, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, the reason why it's the same brand is because Sean Desai is running a similar defense to what Gannon ran structurally last year.
Right. That's my point.
The difference, though, is that Desai is a actual disciple of Vic Fangio, and Vic Fangio recommended the Eagles hire Desai, whereas Gannon was running a variation of Fangio's defense based on the fact that his best friend is Brandon Staley, and Staley comes from the Fangio tree. But because of Gannon's experience with Matt Eberflus, who is now in Chicago, and Mike Zimmer when they were together in Minnesota, he wasn't a pure Fangs, as his nickname is, defense out there. So you could argue that, yes, structurally it's a similar system, but one could argue that maybe Desai is going to run the defense better than Gannon did.
I think that's fair, and you make good points, but same brand. The way I interpret that soundbite in a vacuum is it's going to be pretty much what we saw last year. And that could be false, but it seems like it's going to be similar. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I've said this.
Well, he got 70 sacks out of it last year.
Well, exactly. But we're also talking about the failures in the Super Bowl, and that's all we care about. It's a failure if this team does not win the Super Bowl. So that's all I care about, and that's all the fans care about. Can they get over that hump? Can they get back to that game? It's easier said than done. It's more about the offense, though, right? If they can be a version of what they were last year, which it seems like the answer to that question is yes, then I don't think we should be hitting any panic buttons.
When you think about the defense, I think that we also have to admit that there are some changes. And I think that the personnel is, I think, going to be more of an impact than the coach necessarily, at least in my opinion.
Agree
because,
with that, yeah.
Jalen Carter is replacing Javon Hargrave to use a one for one swap in, swap out example. Do I think Jalen Carter is going to be better than Javon Hargrave in 2023? No. But do I think Jalen Carter is going to be a better player for the next 5-10 years than Hargrave? Absolutely. So, I've been warning people, Ryan, you may not get the best version of the Eagles defense for the first month or two of the season. It may take them time to evolve and figure this thing out because they are swapping in Carter for Hargrave, Dean for Edwards, Cunningham for Kazir White. They're swapping in Blankenship for Epps, and they're swapping in to be determined for CJ Carter-Johnson.
Yes, I think it's going to take time. I know it's going to take time, but something to add, you also can see some early success. And that's because, why, Josh? Because offenses now in the NFL take time to get things going because they're not running any real offense. And most guys aren't even playing in the preseason, barely practicing leading up to week 1. So the offenses are really struggling. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride with this defense this year.
Now, contrast what you, Ryan Rothstein, joining me, Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash. You can text in the show at 609-403-0973. Ryan, I want to contrast what Reddick just said about Sean Desai with what Brandon Graham said about Sean Desai a couple of weeks ago when he was on with Kay Adams on the Up and Adams show on FanDuel TV. Take a listen.
I've had so many different coordinators. I mean, this one a walk in the park because Desai come in, he's cool, he's like just chill. But really, I love that he turned up on us a little bit this week.
What do you mean?
Just saying like, because we've been doing so good as far as getting everything together. Like him being in his first year, we got a smart defense, and that's what I like. We communicating out there, but I just think that he just wanted to turn the level up, just to make sure that we not getting comfortable. That's what I say. And I was like, okay.
What does that look like, turning that up?
Well, just like, the fire, the one day where you can just hear him just yelling a little more than what he normally does. And it wasn't in front of people. It was in front of the whole team as far as like defense. But you know how like sometimes they start out there on the field when in front of the fans. No, this was in private.
It's interesting because going into that soundbite, it's the first time I heard that. I'm saying to myself, Brandon Graham, he knows what to say. He always says the right things. He always hypes up his guys, whether that's teammates or coaches. But that's a good sign to me, right? Because that's something that I think we all knew Jonathan Gannon did not have in him. Like getting on guys, yelling at them, calling people out, having that football guy type of DNA.
Well, the idea of, we're turning it up just necessarily. The idea that he's like, hey, the fans didn't see it, but we're getting it, and it kind of reminds me of, if you ever watch Hard Knocks over the years, and like, there's always that one coach who stands out, right? There's always the one coach you're like, that's a football guy right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like last year on Hard Knocks, it was, the Aaron Glenn versus Deuce Staley screaming matches during practices, when Staley and Glenn walked in the room, you knew what was up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it sounds like Desai is that kind of coach. I think that's what's interesting about Gannon to Desai, because Gannon, as Reddick said, Gannon said, I know who my team is. We're going to go out and ball. Desai says, oh, you know what's up? We're going next level.
Yeah.
And that to me is the great differentiator. And Reddick maybe didn't say it as, as overtly as Brandon said, but you kind of got the message, right?
Yeah.
That Desai is bringing a different brand of ball here to the Eagles.
Absolutely. And that's something that, listen, I also think it's easy for a coach, a.k.a. Sean Desai, in July and August to, quote, get on guys. Is he going to get on them in the Super Bowl? Is he going to get on them in the NFC Championship game? But you have to just interpret and assess what has taken place up to this point. So that's all positive, Josh. It really is.
When you think also about the Eagles defense this year, Ryan, is there a player or a scenario that you're most excited about? Because, a lot of people are looking at, could Reddick take a big step up this year? I've talked about Jalen Carter being rookie defensive player of the year. some people are curious about, how good could Nakobe Dean could be. Is there a player or a storyline that stands out to you for this upcoming year?
Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean's a guy that I was hoping would figure out a way to get on the field a little bit more last season. Didn't end up working out for a variety of reasons, but now he's given the green light. He's getting his opportunity, and I think he oozes with talent and potential, and he's surrounded by talent and not only potential, but veteran leadership. So I believe Nakobe Dean will be an X factor for this Eagles team. And personally, I'm just excited to watch him play every week. What about you?
The guy that I'm excited about, I keep falling back on Jalen Carter because I don't think people realize how good this guy was at Georgia. And he played on a defense where he did not play the majority of the snaps. He was a part-time guy like he will be here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia likes to rotate guys, so does Georgia. And when Fletcher Cox said this about Jalen Carter, this kind of gives you an idea of what this guy could be.
The kid's got some stuff to him. He's special. He can ball.
What does he got?
He can move. He's real. Obviously, he's super powerful, but his lateral movement and the way he's been using his hands to get off blocks. You don't see that too much from a rookie. Normally, that takes time to develop over time. But he's catching on pretty quick. But obviously, he's gonna need the reps. We got a game coming up here next week, and those reps will help him get better.
That's something that you should be extremely excited about. If you're
like, that's a real explanation of that's more than just saying, "Oh, he looks good, man. He's big. He's good." Like Fletcher gave you some real something to chew on there.
Yes, in any sport, and everyone listening out there knows this. You often hear coaches, players, when they're talking about someone special, that you either have it or you don't. Like, there's certain things in every sport that you just cannot coach and teach into a player. They either get it and are capable of doing it, or they're not. So Jalen Carter seems like he just has all of the it factors. He has all the intangibles. We love that word, Josh. So can he just...
I certainly do, at least.
Yeah, you do. Can he provide the work ethic and character, questions that were surrounding him? I have one more X factor, and it's not necessarily a positive one.
Okay.
It's just a reality. Blankenship. Blankenship can be an X factor because right now we look at the safety position for the Eagles and we say, what the heck do we have back there? And maybe he gives us an answer of at least he's capable of being a starter in this league. That is an X factor type of player, just on a different level.
Yeah. My problem with Blankenship is that I like him as a part of the team. I just don't like him as my starting safety.
Me either.
And
but maybe he proves us wrong, Josh.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that looks at him and says, you know what? Are the Eagles hoping that their defensive front continues to get sacks and that will overcome? You know what I mean?
I can answer that. I think, yes, that is 100% the game plan. Isn't that just the reality of the NFL?
Every team has a flaw, right? Every team is not perfect.
But I'm saying that the recipe for defensive success is a strong front seven that can get to the quarterback, right? There's no such thing as a Revis Island anymore. That person just doesn't exist, right? And I know that's a little bit different, but there's no such thing as a Brian Dawkins. There's no such. It's just the game is different now,
right? The style of play you're saying is different.
Yes, yeah, and the NFL is different. The rules all favor the offense. We can go on for days, and we will. We'll take a quick time out, Josh. Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Keep the text messages in hot. We'll read them off when we come back from break here. Ryan Rothstein at Wise Rye and Josh Hennig at Josh Hennig on X, formerly known as Twitter. Still to come, we have football at 4, of course. Today, Adam Kaplan joins us, so you're not going to want to miss that. But when we come back, we'll get to your text messages. We'll continue to talk birds and, of course, the scorching hot Phils, Josh. All that and more right here on 97.3 ESPN.
There's never an off season for the NFL. It's football at 4, every day at 4 p.m. on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Hi, honey. Happy first day back at work. Can't wait to see you tonight. We are so proud of you.
Daddy, love you.
There are many reasons to start recovery. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, we are here to help. Call us. Our trained counselors are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help. Your recovery is within reach. Call 844-REACH-NJ to learn about medication that can support your recovery. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Castrol Edge can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When my daughter gets a cold, I have a secret weapon. DayQuil Kids Berry from Vicks. DayQuil Kids is specially formulated to treat kids' most bothersome cold and cough symptoms quickly. And the best part is that DayQuil Kids Berry tastes really great. Aren't you supposed to be resting? Maybe.
DayQuil Kids Berry. The kids' berry-licious daytime congestion, coughing, stuffy head, stuffy nose, just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6 years plus.
We have exciting news to share with New Jersey residents. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know, with a new name and look. If you've been a WellCare of New Jersey member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services you rely on, and can continue to see the primary care doctors and specialists you trust in our New Jersey network, close to home. If you're a member and we haven't spoken in a while, now's a great time to give us a call and make sure your contact information is up to date. And if you're a New Jersey resident who needs health insurance for yourself or a family member, you can count on us for quality, affordable coverage. We're here for you and your family, just like we've always been. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. New name and look, same benefits and care.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Okay, outdoor summer cocktail party fit check. I've got a hot pink and orange bodycon dress paired with vintage sneakers. It'll definitely attract attention, but not from mosquitoes, because I'm wearing it with Off Clean Feel for 8 gorgeous hours of not sticky, fragrance-free protection. So I can sip, socialize, and flirt out there in the wild with absolutely unshakable confidence. Get your pre-party protection on with Off Clean Feel. SC Johnson, a family company.
School on! Save on!
Back to school is on, and Staples has great prices on everything you need for your best year yet. Save on headphones and laptops. Save on notebooks, pens, and all the essentials. Priced low and still in stock. And right now at Staples, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each. Plus, select notebooks are just 35 cents each. School on, save on at Staples, where school savings are always in session. Ends 9/16. In-store only, limit 30.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is in need of more trades. Used car values have been all over the map, but AJ has one mission: give you the best trade value and get you into a new Matt Blatt Nissan with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0% financing on every new Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Matt Blatt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAC, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
All right, we're back. We're back. 97.3 ESPN. No Mike Gill today. Ryan Rothstein and Josh Hennig hanging out with you inside the Matt Blatt Kia studios. This is the Sports Bash, and your text messages are always the priority, so keep them coming. 609-403-0973. We have 30 minutes, Josh, 30 minutes until the deadline for the final 53 across the NFL, and just more news and updates continue to come across our radar here.
I'll give you a couple more new ones. So Nicholas Morrow has been waived by the Eagles, which is interesting because also they waived Kyron Johnson this afternoon. So that means the Eagles are going with the bare minimum at linebacker, it looks like, which probably suggests they're probably going to go heavy at safety and corner to at least with the initial 53-man roster. How do you feel about that? The Eagles basically looking like they're going to chop down the linebacker room.
I think it's smart because you go through, obviously, each area on the football field and you say, where's the value? Where do we put the priority? And it's the front seven. And then you say, well, where's our weaknesses lie? And, yeah, you can have some concerns and questions at linebacker right now. I get it. But like we just talked about in the last segment, it's safety. So you need that depth because right now the Eagles still aren't really sure what they have.
By the way, a little breaking news here. It looks like the Eagles would go with 4 safeties, Ryan, because Andrew DeCecco from Inside the Birds is reporting the Eagles are waiving Kevon Wallace.
Wow.
So they are not going to go with 5 safeties. They're going to go with the 4. And it looks like, according to reports, the Eagles are hoping that Wallace might get through waivers and lay on the practice squad for special teams.
Okay, so a couple of immediate thoughts there. One, my first one was, good, he stinks. I mean, just a massive bust. But then I say, what does Howie have cooking in the kitchen? Is that fair to think? I mean,
it's
maybe
certainly fair because there's a lot of people being waived and cut right now. So, I mean, for all I know, there of the gazillion people who have been cut, and I have to be honest, I can't keep track of every single name. But there might be someone who was cut or released by another team who the Eagles might be zeroing in on.
Or it's just a trade that they're figuring out and finalizing, and they need to make space.
Certainly possible. I mean, there are some weird trades going on right now, like some random nobody. So,
and interesting little tidbit, sort of random here, but it has to do with what we're talking about. Jonathan Taylor, did you see the specifics with him? If he is not traded by 4 p.m., what happens?
I did not see that.
So if Jonathan Taylor, Colts running back, who we talked a lot about, we'll probably get more into it today, Josh, but if he is not traded in the next 30 minutes, he misses the first 4 games of this upcoming season. I have to pull up the tweet, but that's what I just saw about 2 minutes ago.
I feel like I need a little more information.
I know, and that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm efforting it now, but we'll get the details. It has to do with the PUP list.
Oh, because of his ankle?
So he's on the PUP list right now.
Currently, yes, for the Colts.
Okay. So
so because he's already on the Colts PUP list, if he's not traded, he's automatically going to miss the first 4 games because he's on the PUP list.
There it
but
is.
if he gets traded, he's no longer on the Colts PUP list.
Bingo. There it is.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So it's almost like the Colts are protecting themselves in case they can't trade the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're almost screwing him a little bit if they don't trade him. Yeah.
Maybe the Colts just need to call the Eagles and ask about Trey Sermon. I mean, just get it over with.
I think that's their best bet right now. Yep.
I mean, oh, my goodness. Chris Ballard was so praised as a GM when he got hired by the Colts, and his first couple of years things looked really good. the last couple of years, things look like to be a complete disaster.
I mean,
By the way, Trey Sermon is being released, but with a waiver injury designation.
the heck does that mean?
So that means if someone picks him up, he is listed as injured.
Okay.
So basically the way it works is if he passes through waivers, if he makes all the way through waivers,
Yeah.
the Eagles can either give him an injury settlement and let him completely walk, and then they could re-sign him later in the year, or they would have to, if they bring him back, put him on the temporary short-term injured list. So this goes back to the idea of they're basically forcing teams to either pick him up or they're going to stash him on the injured list and bring him back later in the year as a way to save a roster spot.
You really appreciate the nuances of how you can get really creative if you're in the front office of an NFL team. And this is why we have to appreciate Howie Roseman and his greatness, because he's just able to maneuver these policies and rules and workarounds in so many different ways. It gives me a headache trying to understand it sometimes. It really does, Josh.
I think it's a headache for a lot of people. I've been told by several different people who cover the Eagles that it can be very exasperating for them. And they're on top of it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. So,
but yeah, back to the news. So your starting linebackers week 1 are going to be Nakobe Dean and Zach Cunningham. Nicholas Morrow has been cut. Kyron Johnson is probably going to be brought back to the practice squad, Ryan, because the reason why he was cut was because he had an appendectomy earlier this summer. So he wasn't as active in camp. So there's probably not going to be somebody who picks him up because he didn't really have any tape.
Okay. I mean,
Kyron Johnson, for those who don't know, is the backup for Hassan Reddick on that edge rusher linebacker spot. So he was the guy from Kansas they drafted a couple of years ago.
What's going to happen with Derek Barnett is what's just in the back of my mind.
I haven't seen anything about him yet.
Me either.
And I'm almost getting worried that they're going to bring him back.
That he's still going to be here in Philly. Going off sides.
By the way, I'm glad you brought up the Kavon Wallace, how much of a bust he's been.
Yeah.
Because he has been one of those guys that has been utterly exasperating for me, because this dude was one of the best players on one of the best defenses in college football for a 2-year period at Clemson. Then went to 2 national championship games. Well, they actually went to 3. They lost 2, they won 1. But every year that defense was top 4 in almost every single legitimate category. And you were wow, this guy is everywhere on the field at college, and he comes to the NFL and he looks like he is completely and utterly lost.
Once again, playing in any conference that's not the SEC should be significantly factored into your assessment of these football players. I understand Clemson, they were elite, to your point, playing in multiple national championships.
Against SEC teams.
Yes, but that's only one game, right?
Sure, yes.
When you're looking at an elite defense in the SEC over an entire season or a 2 or 3 year span, that's different. That's a different level of ball. And that, to me, factors into Wallace and what he's turned into, which is nada, zippo, a joke.
What's not a joke is the text board at 609-403-0973. Terry in Galway. I want to get to his text here, Ryan. I want your reaction first, and I'll respond. Terry says, I'm going to tell you guys something you don't want to hear. Last year's Eagles team was one of the best NFL rosters of the last 30 years. Really, since free agency started. They were absolutely stacked. So we really don't know anything about these coaches. Josh could have won 12 games with that roster last year.
That could be interpreted as a compliment to Josh.
It could be. Maybe not.
But that's not what Terry was getting across. Terry, it's something I definitely want to hear. Listen, man, I've made these points over the course of the last 3-4 months. That Eagles team, and that's why that Super Bowl loss is so devastating and always will be. best Eagles roster I've ever seen, and it may go down as one of the best ever that fell short. So I agree with you. And something I brought up multiple times last week, Nick Sirianni. And what can we expect this year and the pressure that comes with the job that he has to do this year with 2 new coordinators, right? So, like, I don't dismiss anything Terry just said there, Josh. I think it's pretty much completely valid to me.
To me, last year was less about the roster than it was about guys being healthy. The team was mostly healthy last year. And that in and of itself is like a magic elixir for success.
Well, it was completely healthy. I mean, there
was like only 2 guys who had legitimate injuries the entire year. Jalen Hurts missed, 3 games?
Yeah.
And then you had the injury to CJ Garner-Johnson.
Right.
And that was pretty much it.
That was it. I mean, I haven't seen good fortune like that for the Eagles in a long time, injury-wise.
Well, it was even 2017, there were a ton of injuries. People forget how many injuries were on that team. Whereas last year, the team was pretty much healthy. So I think the health of last year, no offense to Terry and Galloway, I think he made a solid point, but I think that was even bigger than just how stacked the roster was. Because you can have a stacked roster, but then nobody's healthy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
How many times have we talked about, you mentioned Mike Tomlin earlier in the show, Mike, how good of a coach Mike Tomlin is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ryan, how many times he had to be a good coach because of all the injuries
exactly
he has had to sustain? So to me, I think that, being healthy is just as important. And Terry, I hate to disappoint you, but I don't know if I would or not have won 12 games because frankly, I don't know if I would have, I don't know if I can get credit or Nick Sirianni can get credit for guys being healthy. I think that's more of like a good fortune, good luck, blessing from God, whatever you want to call it kind of thing.
Yeah, but Terry's also right in the sense of the talent cannot be ignored or underestimated there or understated of last year's roster, Josh, right? So both are true. You have to have good luck, of course, to make a Super Bowl run, but you also have to have the talent, and they had just immense levels of talent that honestly we really haven't seen in Philly for the Philadelphia Eagles. So I do want to add this, though. I don't love the comment. I know it's a joke, but the comment of Josh could have won 12 games because that just reminds me of, well, Jalen, we still don't know how good he is because of that roster. It's still extremely hard to be successful in the National Football League.
Well, it goes back to I finished watching that the Gators.
Me too.
Documentary on Netflix last night. And, it's amazing how talented those teams were. And I'm seeing people on social media being like, see, Tebow isn't one of the greatest college football players of all time because he was surrounded by so much elite talent. And it's like, yeah, but whoever won a championship without talent around them? You know what I mean? And I think that, sometimes we, as you just said, Ryan, we forget about that. You need the whole team, as Jason Kelsey was. It's the whole team, right?
It's true.
And I think that, you can't name a team that competed for a championship that was one guy and a bunch of bozos. Like, it just doesn't happen.
The 0-1 Sixers. That's about it.
Well, they saw the 6th man of the year in Aaron McKee and a future Hall of Famer in Dikembe Mutombo.
And
so maybe 3 guys is a bunch of bozos.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a below average joke because the NBA basketball is just
right. It's different than football.
It couldn't be further from
Like
football.
LeBron in his prime could walk onto any roster and make them a playoff.
Exactly. Football, you have 11 guys on offense, 11 on defense. You need a lot going for you in the right way to be successful. Like
what we should do coming up next. On top of that, I got into a very conversation last night. Maybe I can throw it to you, Ryan, see what you think up on the other side.
Sounds good to me. Let's do it.
He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. You listened to Game Night last night. You know exactly what I'm talking about, and we'll see how Ryan feels about this back and forth that me and the listeners had. And by the way, shout out to the listeners, like Steve and Make Fordhouse and Jeff in Ocean City.
Were you getting in fights on the text board, John?
Oh, a little bit, but they responded afterward and said, "Hey, that was a fun debate. That was good conversation. Thanks for reading. We love to read your text 609-403-0973 here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle."
From the beach,
The beaches are open, and people are having a wonderful time.
to the ballpark.
Swing and a high fly ball. Left field. That one is back. Gone. Harper delivers.
We've got you covered. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Summer is ending, but the savings are endless at Bob's Discount Furniture. And this Labor Day weekend, I'm throwing a summer send-off celebration with 6, 12, 30, and 60-month financing options and new everyday low prices on highly rated living rooms, best-selling bedrooms, stylish dining sets, and, of course, my world-famous Bobapedic mattresses. Subject to credit approval, go to mybobs.com for details. Plus, entertainment and yummy treats for the kiddos. So join the fun at my summer send-off celebration this Labor Day weekend in all my stores.
This cardboard order, is it up to date?
Camila's recyclable coffee cup factory can no longer be considered a grande.
Redesign? It's at the printer.
She needs more designers to jump the business to a triple shot.
Client wants to see several more design options. The logo's gotta be bigger.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Labor Day savings start now at Lowe's. Get up to an additional $1,500 off select major kitchen appliances. And save $100 off select laundry pairs, priced $1,396 or more. Plus, pick up the latest DeWalt PowerStack 20-volt max 5-amp-hour battery kit and get a select Bear tool free. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/30. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for details. While supplies last.
The iconic and most rewarding place to play is now available online. Caesars Palace Online Casino has all of your favorite games, including exclusive ones only available on Caesars Palace Online. Fantastic jackpots, daily promotions, and more. With Caesars Rewards, the largest and most rewarding loyalty program in gaming and entertainment. Every play brings you closer to the remarkable benefits only Caesars can offer. Bonuses, dining, tickets, VIP experiences, stays at over 50 Caesars Rewards destinations, and more. As a welcome to you, download today to get a $10 sign-up bonus and 100% deposit match up to $1,000. You must be 21 and physically present in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. Minimum wagering within 7 days required to unlock bonuses. Full terms and wagering requirements at CaesarsPalaceOnline.com/promos. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Please play responsibly.
Texting enrolls you in recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Leaving for the gym so early?
I'm ready to go.
Since you started taking Nugenix Total T, you've been acting like when we met in our 20s.
I feel like myself again. Lower testosterone after turning 40 slowed me down. Nugenix Total T has been a game changer for me.
What is it about Nugenix Total T that's different?
Well, it's a patented key ingredient called testofen. It boosts free and total testosterone to help you get back the drive and energy from your youth. It's backed by 5 clinical studies.
I've seen the huge difference it's made for you in the gym, at work, and in the bedroom.
I'm so glad I sent them a text for my complimentary bottle. Text ROCK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Nugenix is the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and we'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, our newest, most powerful fat burner ever. Absolutely free. Text ROCK to 321-321. That's ROCK to 321-321.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
This Labor Day at the Home Depot, we're rolling out store-wide savings, like a new lower price of $99 on the Ryobi One Plus 18-volt 2-tool kit, because we see long weekends as an opportunity to power up your projects. With the One Plus battery system that works on over 280 products and counting. All driving you to do more this Labor Day at the Home Depot. Get the Ryobi One Plus 18-volt 2-tool kit for a new low price of $99. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, Ryan Rothstein joining me, Josh today, from Mike Gill. So, Ryan, here's the deal with last night. So, I was on game night on 97.3 ESPN, the show I usually host when Mike Gill is here, or at least when you and Danny were covering, which you guys did a very good job yesterday at Ocean Casino Resort Gallery Bar booking games in Atlantic City. So the conversation evolved, or devolved, depending on who you ask, into what makes a good quarterback, okay? And part of the conversation was about Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. And there were people who were texting in saying Dak sucks, okay? And they kept pointing to his playoff record and pointing to he had one bad year. And I was saying that I can't say Dak Prescott sucks because he's had first of all, he's had multiple good years. And second of all, am I really going to get mad at Dak Prescott? The team around him doesn't do their job. Like, to me, wins and losses are a team stat. They're not just a quarterback stat. And frankly, John Elway had, I believe, 5 seasons of at least 15 interceptions. Dak Prescott has 1. So does John Elway suck? I feel like we pick and choose stats because some people just hate the Cowboys so much that, like, if Dak Prescott was like the Vikings quarterback, would people really hate him as much?
No, but he's not. He's the Cowboys quarterback, right? He's going to get more praise than he deserves, which causes even more criticism than maybe he realistically deserves. But I mean, here in Eagles country, no one gives a damn about that, right? I think when you get someone saying Dak sucks, what they're saying is they do not believe he's as good as many make him out to be.
Right.
They're a fan. They say that in a fan way, which is he sucks. I mean, no, does he literally suck? No, I don't think so. But last season was terrific.
And I don't blame Jerry Jones for going out and getting Trey Lance. I really don't.
I mean, I think it's more funny than anything else. That's what I think it is. I mean, the fact he didn't even tell Mike McCarthy was making the trade.
Well, he didn't tell.
It's such a Jerry Jones thing to do.
Right. I mean, not only did he not tell McCarthy, Dak had no idea about it. So
True.
Yeah, how he went about
it. The relationship with Dak is so weird anyway. I mean, with his like we were talking a little bit yesterday, you, me, and Danny, about how, like, Dak could opt out of that deal. And it's like, you could totally see, like I was saying last night, I could totally see Dak going out there, having like a 40 touchdown season and then opting out and being like, peace. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 100%. I think ideally that's best case scenario for him is he can get out of there on his own terms instead of Dallas benching him or not giving him, what he wants, etc. But Dak isn't, I think I brought this up to you last week. Dak is not in my top 10 for quarterbacks. So you can interpret that however you want.
And by the way, I'm fine with that. I don't think Dak should be a top 10 quarterback. I just don't think he's Ben DiNucci. You know what I mean?
No, he's not Ben DiNucci.
By the way, Ben DiNucci was cut today by the Broncos.
I did see that. Unfortunate for Benny Boy. Really is. But I heard I forget who said this, and I'm paraphrasing what I heard, but it's, how do you not tell your franchise quarterback that you're going out and getting Trey Lance? Well, it's simple. They don't view Dak as a franchise quarterback. And whether that assessment is off base or spot on, I'm going with more on the side of spot on, Josh. And I know you differ from that.
I just don't think that we if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I don't think some of these guys are as bad as sometimes we act like they are.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. Is Dak a franchise quarterback?
How do you define a franchise quarterback?
However you define it.
Is he a guy who will start all 17 games for you? Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's not.
If you're gonna, can you win a championship because of Dak Prescott? No. You know, might win a championship because of the Eagles have acquired Albert, and I'm probably gonna botch this.
Let's hear it.
Many times.
Let's hear it.
Albert Okuabune.
Yeah. You are awarded no points.
Yeah. He's a tight end for the Broncos. They just acquired him, according to Adam Schefter and John Clark. I mean, he does have 4 receiving touchdowns in 3 seasons with the Broncos. I'm going to have to brush up on my pronunciation for him. Coming up next, Football on 4. Adam Kaplan is back from the Inside the Birds podcast. Cut down day. What does it all mean? We'll ask Adam Kaplan, NFL Insider, next here on 97.3 ESPN.
Thursday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. We kick off the 2023 season with a cross-country showdown as Cam Rising and the 14th-ranked Utah Utes host Graham Mertz and the Florida Gators. Hi, it's Greg Daniels. Join Chad Brown and me for all the action as the hunt for the college football playoffs starts now. It's number 14 Utah hosting Florida. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
It's college football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, empowering you to live a healthier life.
As the carefree summer days wind down and the first day of school grows closer, getting our kids back to a regular bedtime schedule is vital. Kids who don't get enough sleep have less energy to think in class and to do the things that keep them healthy, such as exercising or playing a sport. So limit those up-all-night sleepovers and be firm about a set bedtime and wake time. To make it easier, keep a regular dinner time. Make sure your kids get fresh air and activity during the day. And so important, turn off screens at least an hour before bed. That blue light can stimulate their brains and make it harder for them to fall asleep. By getting our kids' sleep schedule on track, we'll make the transition from summer days to school days much easier. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff, the longest-running health series in New Jersey, keeping you healthy since 1986. Nutrition, fitness, wellness, and daily tips to help you learn more, live better.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales. Labor Day deals are here. Yes. Right now at Bennett Chevrolet, we've got all our red hot Labor Day deals going on now. These are special holiday sale offers you won't find anywhere else. No way, no how. While other dealers are still selling at or above MSRP, Bennett's selling new Chevys at GM supplier employee prices. Forget about MSRP prices, because at Bennett, you'll get the same deal employees get. You'll save even more with available 1.9% financing. 1.9%. And right now, Bennett will pay you a minimum $10,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. Yep, you heard right. Bennett's giving a minimum $10,000 for any rusted out old rattle trap you can drive or even tow to Bennett Chevy. Imagine how much more you'll get for a good trade. And Bennett's famous non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend, so there's never any pressure. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. They'll fit your space, fit your needs, and with extra large capacity, Samsung laundry pairs can fit more loads in less time. Plus, with free delivery on orders of $396 and up, you won't have to worry about fitting your new laundry pair in the back of your car. Get up to $700 off select appliances like Samsung only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hosting a barbecue is a breeze, but managing my frequent heartburn, that was a lot more work. I would chew up to 10 antacids in one day. Now I take just one Prilosec OTC, and my heartburn is blocked for a full 24 hours. Just one Prilosec OTC a day gives me one-and-done heartburn relief, so I can go back for seconds on my world-famous burgers.
Prilosec OTC. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn.
It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
South Jersey business owners, when Eagles football returns to the airwaves this season, don't miss out. Make sure your business is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on 97.3 ESPN.
Touchdown!
Every week, the NFL's most passionate fan base flocks to 97.3 ESPN Radio to listen to their favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Advertising with the Eagles can help your business connect with the consumers you are trying to reach. 97.3 ESPN is the most listened to sports source in all of South Jersey. That's what makes 97.3 ESPN such a powerful station for your business's message. So this Eagles season, don't have your business sitting on the sidelines. Be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season on 97.3 ESPN. To be a part of the Eagles season, call Market President Mike Rubel at 609-910-5249.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
It's good!
and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Adam Kaplan.
I have real confidence that our football operations can once again create a dominant football team.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios, it's Football at 4.
Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Football at 4 being brought to you by the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Adam Kaplan is back on the Elite Acura hotline as this is the craziest day of the NFL year. Adam, how you holding up today?
I'm doing okay. I'm just trying to track all the stuff. The Eagles made a trade, which we'll get to in a second. We knew they were going to. Just we didn't know who it was going to be. Was it what I was expecting? No, not Jonathan Taylor. There was something else we heard that might go down, but it didn't. But the fact of the matter is they just acquired, according to ESPN, and this is interesting because the guy was going to be cut. Broncos tight end Albert Okwuegbunam. I think I said it correctly. How do I know this? Because I met Albert 4 years ago at the Combine, and he must have given it to us 20 times to finally get it right. A really nice guy, by the way. He was a former fourth-round pick. He was on the final year of his rookie deal, $1.101 million, not guaranteed. So the Eagles gave up, Josh. They gave up a 2025 sixth to get Albert O, and they got a seventh back for 2025. So they gave up a round in that draft. This is one of these deals you take a shot. Now, this does give them, based on what we're seeing right now, the Eagles, by the way, have not announced all their moves yet, but this does give them 4 tight ends on the roster. So if they keep Grant Calcaterra, that would keep 4 right now on the roster. So we'll see what happens.
So moving forward, if they're keeping 4 tight ends, what does Adam Kaplan think that means for the other positions on offense?
Well, Josh, you have to look at their situation. I had said on our show that dropped on Monday morning, would not be shocking if the Eagles went with 4 receivers. Well, Britton Covey's been told he's being cut, so you have to see. I mean that's right now. Now, who knows if they made a trade? Who knows what they've done today, because we don't have all their moves. We don't know yet if they've added another receiver, but right now it looks like, as we speak here at 4:04 Eastern, it looks like they're only going to keep 4. Now, it's highly unlikely that the game against the Patriots will only dress 4 receivers. I've seen it like once in my career when a team dressed 4. You're asking for it. You're just taking too big of a risk. But again, the game is not played for a week and a half. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, they don't have a punter on their 53-man roster. We'll see what happens through waivers. We'll see what happens as we get closer. Josh, that one. To be honest with you, I've not been surprised by any of the releases except for one, and it did surprise me. Aaron Sipos was told he's being let go. That caught a lot of people around the league surprised. I'll leave it at that. That was not what we were expecting. So we'll see what happens here with the punting position.
So, Adam, what you mentioned, Sipos, let's hit on that real quick. What is next for the Eagles? Because we know that this is going to be the initial 53. This is like the beta version when it comes out for something. It's not. We're still waiting for the final product, right?
So tomorrow, okay, let's move forward with this. So tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, teams could claim players off waivers. Within an hour after that, they could fill their entire practice squad of 16 players if they choose to. They could certainly start doing it. Most teams don't do it immediately, all 16, but they could start doing that. So now we'll see as the other 31 teams, and really the Eagles too, as they announce who they've let go, we'll get a better idea of who that punter is going to be, and the other positions, by the way, because they're probably going to keep 6 or 7 defensive tackles. 7, as I said on our show, would be kind of insane. In fact, personnel guy with another team I'm pretty friendly with said, and he listened to our show, he goes, do you really think they'll keep 7? I said, no, I didn't say they would keep 7. I said it would be a surprise. He goes, this person said he could not remember a team keeping 7 defensive tackles, not 7 DNs, D tackles, just 7 individually defensive tackles. That would be a surprise.
Adam, I want your thoughts on Kayvon Wallace. Eagles cut Kayvon, and I just said to Josh earlier, and obviously give us your thoughts and insight. Just a disappointment and a bust. But your reaction.
Yeah, Ryan. So our Andrew DeCecco reported that for us. So we were expecting him not to be on the team. What I said was, if they kept him, would it only be for one reason, for special teams? Their special teams coverage, as we know, was not very good last season. It was better in the second half, but it still was not good enough, guys. They lost 2 of their best special teams coverage players for the season with torn Achilles, and I don't know how they're going to do it, guys. This is we don't talk about special teams a lot. We don't talk about coverage a lot until it becomes a problem. But guys, this is something to keep an eye on what they do here for special teams coverage. And Ben Van Sumeren, if they do cut him, I'm sure he would go to the practice squad. But I had another team tell me that if the Eagles cut him, they would strongly consider claiming him because he's so fast on special teams. Apparently, his game tape for the 2 special teams for 2 of those games are really good. So we'll see what happens there.
Let's go to the offensive side here for the Birds, Adam, and running back. Obviously, a name that is getting a ton of play nationally and even locally, of course, is Jonathan Taylor. But give us the latest and, your opinion on the running back room right now as it stands just after 4 p.m. Eastern for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, I'd said it, on our show repeatedly. They were not training for Jonathan Taylor. I don't know where that kid who put that report out is not a reporter. He tries to get Twitter followers. You're not the guys. I put this out during the draft of 2017 that I was told the Eagles were going to draft Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Moshe was there. He and I did radio together locally in 2017. He asked me who it was going to be. I said, I'm probably going to be wrong about this, and people were skewering me, but they're going to draft McCaffrey if he's there. And obviously he never got there. But my sourcing on this told me that they know that to draft a running back, to justify having a running back of that ilk, he must catch the football in a significant way. The Eagles historically do not want to run the ball a lot. They want to come out throwing. And if it's really working, we'll stick with it. But overall, guys, we know the Eagles want to be a passing team, not running it, and it made absolutely no sense. And by the way, you would have to think about this, guys. If the Eagles were going to entertain this, let's put Swift, Gainwell, Penny, and Scott just to the side here. They're not making a lot of money. Scott's their highest paid running back this year at $2 million. But just think about how ridiculous it is. They're going to pay Jonathan Taylor $15 million a year. It's just, it made no sense. And I just thought it was funny. When you put stuff together, think about how Joe Banner and I worked together at ESPN. Idea, and he explained it to me. When you pay a running back that much, you have to be a running to be like McCaffrey. Got to be like McCaffrey. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Talk with Adam Kaplan, NFL Insider at Kaplan NFL, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, joining us on the Elite Acura hotline. Adam, so with all that being said, we touched on receiver, we touched on tight end and running back, but we can't not talk about offensive line. So what is the latest on the O-line?
Yeah, see, no, we have not gotten everything there. I mean, before his off-the-field issue came to light, he made it. You know, that was a shocker. That was probably the biggest surprise that nobody saw coming. Guys, I mean, when we look at it right now, obviously Tyler Steen, Jack Driscoll, and Suheta and Fred Johnson are on the roster. We don't know if they've kept the 10th guy. That's the only thing we don't know yet. It would surprise me if he made it. As of now, we have not gotten Eagles list, and as of now,
having some issues with Mr. Kaplan's cellular device, mobile device, cell phone. That all works, however you want to categorize it. So Josh is going to hit Adam back up in just a moment, and we'll try and get a better connection, see what's going on. But obviously, you're hearing Adam just react and give us the insights, everything that has transpired here for the Philadelphia Eagles. Some surprises, right? Kayvon Wallace, as I mentioned to him, one of them. Jonathan Taylor, absolutely a big story. And now the 4 p.m. deadline has officially passed, and Josh has Adam back on the phone. We're just going to wrap up with Adam. We have about 3 or 4 minutes left in the segment. So let's bring Adam Kaplan from Inside the Birds back into the conversation. And we'll let him take over, Josh. So
yeah, Adam, is just finish up what you were saying about the offensive line. You said Josh Sells looks like he's going to make it.
Yeah, well, as of now, remember, if a guy, and this is the worst part about all this, a guy can make it for now and be cut tomorrow. So yeah, in agents, some young agents who make this mistake, they announce that their players made the team only for the guy to get cut tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with Josh Shields. But as of now, he's on the team. But again, the Eagles have not announced their moves, and I'm anxiously waiting to see what they do because they made the Albert O trade. Oh, by the way, Isaiah Rodgers, that was a very interesting move that they did for a guy who can't play this season because he's suspended for at least one season. So we'll see what happens. But, I was told that he might have started for the Colts at corner this season had he not obviously had his gambling issue. So that's a very interesting signing. We'll have more about that on our show that drops Thursday morning. But I like that signing just from a talent standpoint. Guy's talented. Obviously has off-the-field concerns, but very interesting signing nevertheless.
You just mentioned corner, so let's hit on that real quick. Yeah. It looks like the Eagles, how many do you think they're going to keep initially, and how many? Because remember last year, Adam, they kept 6 initially, but officially they had 5 before week 1 of the season.
Yeah, and Josh, that's another thing. Like, this is the deal. Does Eli Ricks make it? Does Mario Goodrich make it, who could be the backup slot? As I reported earlier today, they told Josiah Scott that he's gone. That now he could come back to the practice squad if he clears waivers.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to make a decision. Who is their backup slot? That they don't have one right now. No, it's not going to be James Bradbury. That's not what he's being done to be paid $10.5 million a season. He could do it because he took reps in a limited fashion, but they need a full-time backup slot. And McPherson would have been that guy had he not gotten hurt. And considering he's a really good special teams player, they don't have that luxury. That's yet another position they got to take a look at.
Adam, before we let you go, I got to ask you about linebacker. It's looking more and more like the Eagles are going to go, at least initially, for the beta version of the roster, the bare minimum of linebackers out there.
Well, it's either going to be 3 or 4. If they cut Van Sumeren, it would be 3. With Dean and Cunningham, your starters, and Ellis is your third linebacker. Now, again, 16-man practice squad. They could sign a veteran. They could sign Morrow to their practice squad. They could, if Van Sumeren is waived, we haven't got everything official yet. If they cut him and he clears waivers, although he could be claimed, probably not, but only for special teams if you were going to claim him. He's not ready to play on defense. But they have a coverage issue on special teams guys. I'm really interested to see. I know we don't talk, as I said earlier, we don't talk about this enough or a lot. But that's something we're going to be watching because I'm really wondering who their coverage players are going to be in that area.
Yeah, of course, and losing both Sean Bradley and Zach McPherson for the year definitely puts a huge question mark over the special teams. Keep it up with Adam Kaplan at Kaplan NFL on Twitter. Make sure you check out the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, for the latest on the Eagles, as just because it's past 4 p.m., there's still more changes to be made to the roster. And as all guests, Adam Kaplan joined us on the Elite Acura Hotline. Adam, keep up the good work.
All right, guys, thank you.
And of course, Football at 4 brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Go to the Gallery, go to the Ocean, go to the for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So a couple things I want to hit on with you, Ryan, here. Recap what Adam was saying. First of all, the Eagles made the trade for Albert Okwuegbunam, and according to Adam, it looks like they're going to have 4 tight ends to start out with. A little bit of a surprise for me. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely a surprise, right? Because what's the thinking there? Is there more to come? Is there a move that we just have not seen yet? What's the plan? Because you have Dallas Goedert, and the other guys could have a smaller role, of course, but special teams and the occasional package where you bring in an extra tight end for most likely blocking purposes. So, I don't know what that trade truly entails and the meaning behind it. Can you give a better explanation? Because mine's just a long-winded, not sure.
Well, I know the reports were over the weekend that they were going to release Tyree Jackson. And I for lack of a better way of explaining it, Albert Okwuegbunam is a basically more football built up physical tight end version of what Tyree Jackson can do. So maybe for them, they look at Jackson as still a project, and they wanted somebody who's more of a sure thing. They also released Dan Arnold over the weekend. So, I mean, we already know the top 2 tight ends are Goddard and Stoll. So, unless you're telling me that Brady Russell is making this team, I just don't see how having more than Goddard, Stoll, and Okwuegbunam is going to mean anything for this team, because we can sit here and say, hey, they're keeping 4 wide receivers, but as Adam said, almost nobody does that. So you're going to have to either not keep somebody somewhere else on the roster, or as Adam said, this might just be the first move in a series of moves.
Eagles did upgrade their 2025 draft pick. So, that could be reason enough for Howie Roseman, right? So the trade is a 2025 7th round pick. No, wait, I may have screwed that up massively. It's the Broncos traded the tight end. I'm not even going to try and say his name. And a 7th round pick to the Eagles for a 6th round pick. Okay, so no, I'm trying to figure out.
Do they really like Okwuegbunam? Like, do they really think he's that good?
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe, right? And Howie, I trust. He says, all right, we're going to give up essentially nothing for a guy that I'm going to like to have in my back pocket potentially, so, whatever. It's a marginal move. Let's just keep it 100 with the listeners. I mean, this is not a significant move in my mind.
The only reason it has any significance is because how does it affect other guys who are kept on the roster? And by the way, this is very weird. As Adam mentioned, we should probably bring up, the Eagles have still not officially announced the initial 3-man roster. We're still seeing cuts coming down from other teams, but the only team I've seen announce their 53-man roster right now is the Packers. So, good for the Packers. Everybody else is still waiting in the NFL.
Well,
so,
I mean, it's 4/18. I mean, it is pretty quickly to get them.
What are we waiting for?
Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of leeway, and they're finalizing deals, and they're putting ink to paper. And maybe
those are excuses, Ryan.
There's printer jams, right? They're out. They have to.
Are we going with the Elvis Dumerville fax machine situation from a decade ago?
It could be. You don't know. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of moving parts here, Josh. Can't rule them out. We have to look up this dude's stats. That's
I have him in front of me.
Okay. Or is it anything worth mentioning? Yes or no?
Well, he has, in 3 seasons, he has 4 receiving touchdowns. He has 546 receiving yards in 26 games. He has started 7 NFL games. He started 6 back in 2021. That was when Noah Fant got injured for the Broncos, and he had to play some games. So he does have legitimate NFL playing experience. He stands at 6'5" and weighs about 260 pounds. So he's a pretty big dude.
Listen, when he's gotten his opportunity, which is a small sample size, not terrible numbers. In 2021,
that's when he had the 6 starts.
He had 33 catches for 330 yards. He averaged 10 yards a grab, and he had 2 touchdowns that year. So
that's why I'm saying he's a more refined version of Tyree Jackson, basically. He's a guy who's really tall, really big, but unlike Tyree Jackson, he's actually giving you production on the football field, whereas Jackson's been in and out of the injury tub.
And we'll have to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe he's an excellent blocker for the position, and he's a guy that can catch the ball.
I mean, the only other thing I could think of is, and because Adam mentioned multiple times the special teams questions, do they look at Uke Buyam as a guy who can be a part of special teams and be a blocker there? And maybe they value that and say, hey, we want our number 3 tight end to also be a guy who could play special teams.
Absolutely. I think it's all fair. All fair.
It's all fair in love and war.
Damn right it is.
By the way, the Patriots have waived Bailey Zappi. Are you sad?
No, I'm not. Are you sad?
I'm a little surprised. I mean, he was a guy the Patriots really liked.
Well, obviously not. What do you mean? Didn't like him that much.
All things being equal, if Bailey Zappi and Will Grier are options for the backup quarterback, are you interested at all?
Yeah, because Mariota right now doesn't look like he can back me up. I know you are against that statement.
Well, I think that Mariota, part of his problems was a mechanical footwork issue. He had so many balls snapped over his head. It's almost like he forgot how to walk with a football in his hand.
He looks like a guy that has no interest in playing football right now and doesn't want to be here in Philly. And
so you're saying he's collecting a paycheck
and has lost a step and is learning a new offense.
I don't know if he's lost a step. He still looks pretty quick.
Well, I mean, listen, it doesn't
maybe
always
mentally
have to be,
lost.
Yeah,
a step?
exactly.
Okay.
It can just be he's not the same guy he once was. So, I would take essentially anyone right now over Mariota, and maybe he gets the opportunity to prove me wrong there, but we shall see.
Not as good as he once was, but as good once as he'll ever be.
Sure. Yeah.
You have no idea what I'm quoting from, are you?
No, not really.
It's a Toby Keith song.
Okay. Yeah. Come on, man.
What do you mean, come on?
I mean, I don't have Toby Keith memorized here to just pull, rabbits out of the hat.
Okay, fine. All right.
But Albert O is a guy that he doesn't have. I mean, I'm on Football Reference right now looking at his numbers. They're very underwhelming. A guy that when he got enough reps, he did solid. He did solid. So maybe there's something here for Howie and the Birds.
All right. Well, we will keep you guys updated as we get closer to, well, not closer to. We're just waiting like everybody at 3. Ryan Rothstein, Josh Hennig, hanging out with you on a Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash.
A sports station that hits a home run every time.
Swing and a high fly ball. Left field. That one on its way, and that one is gone. Inside the left field foul pole. A no-doubter from Trey Turner.
It's 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's home for the best Phillies sports talk.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is in need of more trades. Used car values have been all over the map, but AJ has one mission: give you the best trade value and get you into a new Matt Blatt Nissan with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0% financing on every new Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Matt Blatt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAT, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year, which means, wait, hold up.
Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are back in action tonight after another big win over the Angels on Monday. Michael Lorenzen gets to start tonight. Kyle Schwarber is back in left field. Bryce Harper at first base, batting cleanup. And Edmundo Sosa at third base. Alec Boehm at first. Game starts at 6:40 tonight. Eagles have released veterans such as Nicholas Morrow, and they have also traded for tight end Albert Akuebom from the Denver Broncos involving a pick swap. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
School on, save on at Staples, where school savings are always in session. Ends 9/16. In-store only, limit 30.
Sail into summer in New Jersey, where sea breezes drift along iconic sunny shores. Stroll boardwalks or soar high on the rides. Take time out to breathe in the great outdoors. Treat yourself, shop, dine, dive into history, the arts and culture. From dazzling winning cities to charming towns in the countryside. Find it all at visitnj.org.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. Phillies are back in action tonight after another big win over the Angels on Monday. Michael Lorenzen gets to start tonight. Kyle Schwarber is back in left field. Bryce Harper at first base, batting cleanup. And Edmundo Sosa at third base. Alec Boehm at first. Game starts at 6:40 tonight. Eagles have released veterans such as Nicholas Morrow, and they have also traded for tight end Albert Akuebom from the Denver Broncos involving a pick swap. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
Go to Ocean Casino Resort this summer for our 5th birthday celebration. Go for the parties and the payouts. Go for the dining and the unwinding. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The rest of the day, some scattered showers, certainly a possibility. Overnight tonight, we're looking at cloudy sky across South Jersey. Maybe some scattered thunderstorms after midnight, to low 72. Those thunderstorms actually could extend into tomorrow morning, but tomorrow afternoon, clearing, partly sunny. Tomorrow's high 86. The rest of the week looks pretty great. No rain in sight through Labor Day, with sunshine every day. High temperatures in the upper 70s to mid-80s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Have a great afternoon.
Hey, Jen, I just stopped in to say hello, and oh my goodness, look how busy it is in here. How do you get all these customers?
Yeah, this month has been a record breaker for us. For a long time, we had decent business coming in from word of mouth, but we weren't growing. Lately, though, a lot of new folks have been finding us online. That's all the difference.
That's terrific, man. I wish I could figure out how to do that for my shop, but I have no idea where to start.
Just do what I did. It's not as hard as you think. Go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there are for businesses like yours. If you see that there are a good number of clients searching in our area, you'll also get some suggestions for the best way to get their attention.
Do you think there are a lot of people searching for my business?
There's only one way to find out. Go to mylocalcustomers.com. It's quick, easy, and free.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.
4:30 on a Tuesday. Josh Hennig along with Ryan Rothstein. The music is back here on 97.3 ESPN. Got some text to get to, Ryan, at 609-403-0973. CJ from Vineland is a Broncos fan. He wanted to give a Broncos perspective on the Eagles acquiring Albert O, as he says they called him out there in Denver. Well, I mean, Adam Kaplan called him Albert O. I've seen it once too. CJ in Violence says, as a Broncos fan, he was the reason why we traded Noah Fant to Seattle in the Russell Wilson trade. Albert O was drafted to be our athletic version at tight end who can move out and be a matchup issue because he has wide receiver skills. Blocking has always been his biggest issue as he is highly skilled as a receiving tight end, but never fit into the Broncos' game plan, especially during last year's disaster of season. So the Broncos were comfortable in trading him because Albert was going to be Fant's replacement from CJ and Violence. So it gives you a Broncos perspective, Ryan, on who Albert O is.
Yeah, it does shed a little bit of light. So I appreciate the text message and insight there from a Broncos fan. But I still look at this as someone that I think his ceiling is can step in for a week or two if tight end is depleted on the depth chart. He can step in and do what he needs to do, make some catches, maybe move the chains a little bit. And just do enough for you. But he's not a guy that really is going to move the needle at this point in his career. Still early on, but that's my assessment based off the little info that I have.
I mean, look, Okoye Bunam is a good depth player from what I understand. He's a guy who, like you said, Ryan, when he got opportunities, he did make the most of them. And as CJ from Violence said, he was the reason why they thought they could trade Noah Fant. But at the end of the day, the Eagles saw value in him. And as I said earlier, I think he is here to pretty much replace Tyree Jackson. I think that the Tyree Jackson experiment has not worked out the way the Eagles wanted. And that's why we're in here. And by the way, the Eagles have officially announced all of their transactions. If you want me to run them down real quick for you, Ryan. Trey Sermon and Tyree Cleveland are officially gone. Tyree Jackson waived with an injury settlement. So basically, for those who don't know, the Eagles will basically pay him because he's injured, even though he's injured. So it's a nice gesture by them to do that. Although they have to legally do something with him, they're going to waive it. So they can either pay him to not play anymore, or they can just waive it. So actually pay him. Which is a solid move by them. The players who were released, this is in alphabetical order, by the way. So it's not in position order. Devin Allen has been among the players released, along with Ian Brooks, the third-string quarterback, is Tanner McKee. The running backs who are gone include Kennedy Brooks and Trey Sermon. No surprise there. We mentioned Britton Covey earlier in the day. Mekhi Garner did not make the team. It looks like Eli Ricks has made the team. Josh Sills, Josiah Scott are both gone from this team. Aaron Stipos has officially been released, even though, according to the X-verse, Howie Roseman has said the Eagles are considering bringing Stipos back for the practice squad. So reading to that, if you will. Among the cuts as well as Kevon Wallace, we mentioned earlier, Greg Ward, Marvin Wilson has been on again, off again in this roster a million times. We mentioned Brady Russell is probably out with the trading for Albert O. Also, an interesting name to throw out there, Ryan. They have released Janaris Robinson, a guy with legitimate defense and experience, along with Teron Jackson. So two guys, Ryan, with experience playing in the NFL have both been released by the Eagles, along with Nicholas Mora. And we know that Tyree Maddox Williams will be brought back to the practice squad. And again, Tyree Jackson has officially been cut as well.
There you go. Did you mentioned Eli Ricks in there, or did you not?
Eli Ricks has made the team.
Yes, Eli Ricks has made the team. Former Bama star, who had a really nice preseason, which is like Monopoly money. But
Guess what? He did enough to earn a job, and you could argue that he took full advantage of when Zach McPherson went down. Zach McPherson is done for the year. And with that open roster spot, Eli Ricks was one of the players, along with Mekhi Gardner, who's competing for a job.
Yes, listen, absolutely. It's just it's something, and it is a name, at least was at one point. So it did enough to make the team. So just worth throwing that out there, as well.
So we'll keep you updated, throughout the day, because even though the Eagles have released all those players, it does still mean that they are going to make more moves tomorrow, because the waiver deadline is tomorrow at noon, and then the practice squad will be announced after that. And me and Ryan will review all of the official final moves throughout today and tomorrow right here on 97.3 ESPN. Again, Eagles finalizing set up for the roster, and we'll get back to the text board at 609-403-0973. Ryan, we got Paul from Rehoboth chiming in saying, "Hey guys, I'm heading to Citizens Bank Park for my first game of the year." Well, good for you, Paul.
Let's
from
go.
Rehoboth. He says, "I need Lorenzen to get back on track here. Go Phils." Well, your Phillies lineup being brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located on Railroad Avenue in Rio Grande. For your next move, just call Clark's Moving and Storage. Kyle Schwarber is your leadoff hitter, followed by Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper back at DH, Ryan, Alec Boehm playing first base, JT Realmuto catching. Rodolfo Castro is in the lineup today, along with Edmundo Sosa, Jose Rojas, and Lorenzen, because there is a lefty pitching for the Angels tonight. Ryan, your reaction to the Phillies lineup?
Listen, Schwarb's leading off. Obviously, that's not going anywhere. We've all gotten used to now. Trey Turner in the 2-hole, Casty 3. I personally don't like seeing Harper clean up, but occasionally I do understand now that that's going to happen from time to time here in the regular season. Certainly will not and should not happen, in my opinion, come playoff time and down the stretch. But nonetheless, JT now in the 6-hole, a lineup here that giving a couple of guys some rest. That's what it seems like after a nice little win streak. You have plenty of momentum. You're at home and
going with the matchups, left-handed pitcher on the mound.
Yes, and this is a guy that you should be able to still take advantage of.
100%.
And have success. So
for those who don't know, Tyler Anderson is a 5.35 ERA this year. So
not great.
If this lineup can't beat him, then no lineup can beat him.
No.
I mean, let's just put it that way.
But can we just all start to appreciate Schwarber, right? Like, and I remember last year, right after the Phillies' epic run, Mike Gill and I did a show, and we talked about moments with the Phillies in the postseason, and we each had like 10 different moments, right? And earlier in the show today, we had Frank Close on, Josh, and we had their Phillies mailbag like we do each and every Tuesday here on the Sports Bash.
Right.
And some really good questions, always good questions, but I really enjoyed the questions that we got in the mailbag earlier today, Josh, because I think they're topics that we can discuss further throughout a show. Who has been the Phillies MVP so far this year? And I think that's an excellent question, because you can talk about Schwarber, as I've described, one of the more underrated signings, I would say, in Phillies history at this point. And it has just been such a debated topic of, the dude can't hit. He has a under 200 batting average. He either Ks or homers, useless in the leadoff spot. We have to appreciate what we have in Kyle Schwarber. It's been special once again this year. Trey Turner, the month he's had, obviously special and a major story. Casty's an all-star. Harper's bounced back in an epic way, right? Like, there's just so many storylines. Then you have the young guns in Boehm and Stoddard, who in many ways carried this team And this team would not be where they currently are today without the young guys. So, like, there's so many good options when you look at who has been the MVP / difference maker for this Phillies team up to this point, Josh.
To me, I look at two specific guys I think that have had a major impact for this team. You mentioned Castellanos. I think that we don't realize how he was playing good when everyone else was playing bad.
Yep.
And sometimes you got to give the guy credit who stepped up when the rest of the team wasn't doing their job. And I think Castellanos definitely deserves that credit. The other guy I'll throw out there is, I know he hasn't had his typical elite season, but Zach Wheeler, for the most part this year, has been a consistent, reliable. He gives you 6-7 innings, gives you a good start, he typically doesn't lose you any games. And I think that between Castellanos and Wheeler, I don't think that we appreciate them as much because neither one of them has had an elite season. They've just had good seasons. And, sometimes having
Wheeler, though, for his expectations, Josh, it's been a bad year. Right.
For his standards. Right.
And that's what,
but compared to the rest of the team, you could argue that he has been the most consistent pitcher overall this year.
Yeah, but that can almost be taken as a negative because you look at his consistency, and I think that's fair to classify his production as, consistent, certainly compared to others at times. But we need Zach Wheeler not just to not lose you games and keep you in games. We need Zach Wheeler to win us ball games, and not just ball games, playoff games. Right? I mean, I'll hammer it home till I'm blue in the face. I love the offense. I love the lineup. There's so many key players as we're talking now, but Wheeler needs to be a stud, or this team very well, I think, will have an early exit in the playoffs.
Steven Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973 about the Phillies. Says, I like the lining up of the right-handed hitters against a lefty tonight. Got to keep the bench guys fresh and give the stars a day off here and there. Outstanding. For Turner might have been the turning point of the Phillies season for me, he says.
Well, I mean, it has been the turning point. It has. And I'm someone that mocked it. And I didn't mock the actual standing ovation, just to rehash this for 5 seconds. I mocked everyone and all of us talking about it before it happened. I thought that was it ruined a cool moment. But hey, right now, Josh, it's hard to argue that it was not the difference maker in the year.
Why do you think it ruined a cool moment?
Because those type of things have to happen organically, in my opinion. Right? Like that was
so we just not talk about it?
No, because if you remember that day, and even
no, I remember the whole argument was, do you boo him? Do you cheer him?
Well, no. It wasn't. That sort of unraveled. Here was the premise. Everyone was saying, okay, Trey Turner sucks right now. Let's rally behind him. Let's have the idea of giving him a standing ovation. And then that was debated and talked about throughout South Jersey, Philadelphia, everywhere amongst Phillies fans. And for me, that takes away the moment, right? It still was obviously impactful for Trey Turner and the team. I'm not disregarding that. But I sort of said it, I compared it to going to your girl and telling her, hey, I'm going to propose to you tonight at dinner, right? It's still a cool moment. It still means something, but it takes away the element of surprise. Like, why do we love sports? The unknown, right? What made that Alec Boehm standing ovation last year so special? It just happened. It just happened. It wasn't talked about.
See,
this was prearranged.
See, I don't mind us talking about it. I don't mind us building up to it because to me, it was a very interesting argument in where people's approach was to how they look at athletes. And I think that comparing it to an engagement is a bit of an extreme by you, because I think that an engagement is something that has to do with a relationship and so many other layers. But I think cheering or booing for Trey Turner that's the argument people have been having in sports since the dawn of time. Do you cheer? Do you boo or not?
Right. Listen, it's not. My comparison, though, is more of just highlighting the experience and how it changes from talking about it to having something just happening in a game. When something just happens in a sporting event, when something just happens
organically.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it special. It gives you goosebumps when you're saying, "Hey, you know what? We should cheer this guy. We should give him a standing ovation, really for no rhyme or reason other than he sucked." Listen, it worked. Okay, I'm not bashing it. I just think it took some air out of the tires leading up to that moment, as far as how cool of a moment it could have been. If that makes sense, it's hard to really explain where I was at that time now that we're like, a month past it.
I think that because that we're weeks past it now, I think that point of view, I think, weighs a little less.
Well, yeah, and it's
because it
it's
worked.
ruined because exactly. Because it worked and it was important and impactful. But at the time, it was just like, all right, this is crazy and chaotic. Like, let's just let those things happen organically, to your point. But
all right. I mean, I don't think we're going to agree on that. I think that there's nothing wrong with a build up and having that conversation. I generally enjoy discussing those things with people because I like getting people's insights on it. And not everything can be organic or natural or be like a movie set.
Sure.
I mean, how many movies have we watched? You already know what's going to happen. You're just watching it for 2 hours to get to that point.
Most of them.
I mean,
that's why they all stink now.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but geez.
I know.
Harsh. Throw some cold water on that.
I
Wow.
mean, hey, unless it's a Marvel movie
I mean,
or Barbie.
Ryan went ice bucket challenge.
I did. I tend
Well,
to
even
do
a
that.
Marvel movie, we all knew what was going to happen to some extent in Endgame, but we
Yeah, it was
still
gonna end.
waited the 3 hours to get there.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We all had a theory of, all right, we know what's going to happen here. They're going to eventually find a way to win. We just didn't know how.
Of course.
That's what we were waiting for. It's like, we all knew that Trey Turner was going to eventually turn around. We just didn't know when or how. It just happened to be a standing ovation, and he felt, goosebumps in his heart. And he started hitting home runs.
But we didn't know if he was going to turn it around. Like, Cassie went an entire season last year stinking. It's baseball. Trey Turner,
baseball is weird.
Yeah, he very well could still be struggling, and it wouldn't be that crazy. It would be weird, but, I mean, I'm as happy as anyone out there that he's done what he's been doing.
We'll get to more of your texts coming up on the other side, 609-403-0973. He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill on the Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash. Still to come, we'll talk NFL and fantasy football next hour with Andy McNamara here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
We have the perfect remedy for sitting in traffic. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hello, I'm Atlantic County Executive Denny Levinson. From our beautiful beaches to countless entertainment and recreational destinations, there's so much to enjoy in Atlantic County. But with thousands of residents and visitors hitting the road this summer, it's important to travel safely and never drive impaired. Last year, 64% of all fatal motor vehicle crashes in Atlantic County were alcohol or drug related. These crashes were senseless and preventable. If you plan to drink alcohol or are under the influence of drugs, marijuana, or prescription, don't drive. Atlantic County Police Departments will be participating in the statewide Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign through Labor Day weekend. Officers will be arresting motorists who choose to put themselves and others in danger. Remember, if you feel different, you drive different. Let's continue to work together to prevent impaired driving and protect our community.
Spilled your drink? Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up spills quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent. You can use less than the leading ordinary brand, so you can get back to your night. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances, like a new LG refrigerator capable of making 4 different types of ice, or an LG oven with built-in air fryer for healthier, crispier options. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online, your innovative new appliances are also just a click away. Get up to $700 off select appliances, plus an extra $1,000 off LG kitchen appliances, only at the Home Depot. Pricing about $824 through $913 U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Well Care of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care, with a health plan you know with a new name and look. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com.
At Taco Bell, we like to keep mornings simple because before 11 a.m., you're not down for whatever. No. You're not interested in trying new things. No. You want a breakfast that's toned down and delicious, like the Breakfast Crunch Wrap with fluffy eggs, sausage, melty cheese, and a crispy hash brown and a grilled tortilla. I want to eat that. See? You may not be a morning person, but it's morning, and you're a person. Taco Bell breakfast, served until 11 a.m. At participating Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only while supplies last.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message data rates may apply or play. Stop. Go to nomoredrivingwindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait, text PLACE to 200-300.
Okay, class, our first lesson is math. 0 plus 0 plus 0 equals...
One heck of a great deal.
The math is simple at Matt Blatt Kia. Put 0 down, pay 0 interest, and make 0 payments for 90 days on every new Kia in stock. Or get up to $8,000 off MSRP on every 2023 EV6 GT in stock. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Kia can get you released so you can drive your new Matt Blatt Kia with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 90 days. And we finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credits, not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through Tab 1. Excludes EVs, 36 months at $27.77 per thousand. To Tier 1 customers, expires 9/5/23. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey sports leader.
All right, welcome back. Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Welcome back. Ryan Rothstein and Josh Hennig filling in for the MG today. And it's been a busy day, obviously. We knew this. 4 p.m. Eastern time, the deadline for the final 53 for the Birds. So now we're trying to pick up all the pieces, still doing so as Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni sit at the podium right now at the NovaCare complex and address the media. So we're trying to pick up bits and pieces from that. We'll keep you updated, of course, throughout the show up until 6 p.m. And continue to hit us up on the text board with your text messages, 609-403-0973. Josh gave out the Phillies lineup in the last segment, so we have plenty of Phillies to get into in the next hour, as well as fantasy football and more. Let's get to some of your text messages. And I knew I was going to get bashed, and I appreciate the bashing, Josh, because there's...
You're accepting your fate.
Well, yeah, because my stance, and I'm fine. I'm not dying on a hill. I still believe what I believed at that time, but the reality is the standing ovation worked, and it was a massive success, and it was a turning point, not just for Trey Turner, but as Topper said it, Rob Thompson, Phillies manager, a a key turning point, key moment for the entire clubhouse for this season, turning things around. So, yeah, me getting up here now today, trying to explain my stance before it happened, I sound like an idiot, even more so than usual. But Tom from the Margation Nation hits us up, Josh, and says, the analogy is, caps lock, absolutely wrong. No air out of the tires. If you tell your wife you're going to propose, here, no one knew if the crowd would cheer or propose marriage. I agree with Josh that standing O was a magic moment. And I agree, it was a magic moment because
this magic moment.
Yeah, it was special because it meant so much to Trey Turner, and it was a key moment for him. So, yes, hindsight now, it worked, and it's all well and good. Another text message says, dumb comparison, ! That's from Tom in Summers Point. So I digress. We'll move on from my poor analogy.
Well, we are going to move on because the hour ends.
It is. We got a break.
And listen, we got fantasy football talking NFL
right.
next, Ryan.
That's right. Andy McNamara will drop some knowledge on us right here on the Sports Bash. Give us the insight on all things fantasy football. If you have a draft coming up, I do, or maybe you just had one, still can get some knowledge and insight from Andy. So that's coming your way to lead off the 5 p.m. hour. Ryan Rothstein here, Josh Hennig here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Continue to fire up the text board, 609-403-0973. The final 53, the deadline has passed. We react to that in the final hour. We talk Phils in the final hour. And when we come back, Andy McNamara. Keep it locked in right here, 97.3 ESPN.
Saturday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. The hunt for the national championship begins in Happy Valley as the 7th-ranked Penn State Nittany Lions host the West Virginia Mountaineers. Hi, this is TJ Reeves. Join LeVar Arrington and me for all the action as James Franklin and the Nittany Lions get a tough opening week test against upset-minded West Virginia. It's number 7 Penn State and West Virginia.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins after Notre Dame football.
Ocean Casino Resort is the ultimate fantasy draft party spot. Go for the bragging rights this fantasy football season and plan your draft party at Top Golf. Each party receives a dedicated VIP draft space or private bay at Top Golf for up to 4 hours. An Ocean draft board, swag bag, championship trophy, and more. Your fantasy football season starts here at Ocean Casino Resort. For more details, visit theoceanac.com. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. Let's go! Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to nomoredraftywindows.com for full offer details.
Attention all homeowners. Do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Fog between the glass. Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And right now, you can save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. Just text PLACE to 200-300 for your free consultation on top-quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right. You don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, save $359 off every window and $887 off every door. But hurry, these big dollar savings end this month. Text PLACE to 200-300 right now. Text the word PLACE to 200-300. Don't wait. Text PLACE to 200-300.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight. 3. It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
The next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Now through September 21st, new customers can get 200 megabit internet with unlimited data on the next generation Xfinity 10G network for just $25 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, upgrade to gig and save $20 a month over Verizon. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service. Actual speeds vary, not guaranteed. Savings compares Xfinity Gig to Verizon Gig.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit on the go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
We're rolling out store-wide savings this Labor Day at the Home Depot. Like up to $15 off Scott's Winter Guard Turf Builder. Because long weekends are all about getting outside, putting down roots for the fall, and feeding a lawn you can enjoy all year round. Shop Labor Day savings at the Home Depot and get up to $15 off Scott's Winter Guard Turf Builder. The Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Any trade, any trade, any trade. Bring any trade to Matt Blatt Nissan because AJ the Trade Man is in need of more trades. Used car values have been all over the map, but AJ has one mission: give you the best trade value and get you into a new Matt Blatt Nissan with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0% financing on every new Matt Blatt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAC, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle, plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Sports is what we do.
You're in your car, you're in your house, you're wherever you are. You're a sports fan.
97.3 ESPN.
Because if you weren't a sports fan, you wouldn't be listening.
WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Now, live inside the Matt Blatt Kia Studios.
Josh Hennig and Ryan Rothstein filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. The 5 o'clock hour is here. And you guys can text in your fantasy football and NFL questions right now at 609-403-0973. This is the finalizing of the initial NFL 53-man rosters. So for me, Ryan, this is when you really get into fantasy football season. This is the time you really start thinking about your fantasy drafts and everything. And I know that, Ryan, you're in negotiations. Your people are talking to our people about being the 97.3 ESPN Fantasy League this year. So to talk about NFL fantasy and more is the guy who joins me every week of the NFL season on game night on 97.3 ESPN, Andy McNamara at Andy MC81, the host of the Sick Podcast, and among his 20 different things that he does covering sports throughout the year. And he joins us right now on the Elite Acura Hotline on 97.3 ESPN. Andy, my friend, welcome back. How you doing on this Tuesday, which is NFL Cutdown Day?
Gentlemen, I'm doing great, feeling good. Great to be on with you. Yeah, you're right, Josh. This is the last step really into getting into the fantasy football draft. If you're smart, like we tell you each week, right when I'm on with you, wait until days like today. Wait as long as possible for injuries to pass, for surprise cutdowns, for even over the next couple of days, players to move around and how that might develop. Not for stars, but for those later, and you're watching those depth charts. So this is, we're getting right into it.
So, Andy, for you, really quick, before we get into the more fantasy football, NFL, deeper stuff, was there a move or something that happened today that surprised you at all?
A lot of it was just over the last few days, right? Those little trades that Nick Folk goes for a late round pick to the Titans. All right. The Browns acquire Hopkins for a 7th round pick and Josh Dobbs. So a lot of the kind of nickel and diamond type of stuff. Maybe the biggest, and it wasn't a cut, but the Jonathan Taylor news, I think, affects a lot of things there because the Colts are just a mess. Like, what a mess. You have, like, what would be better for your very raw rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson, than an all-star running back? Instead, you have him unhappy, even when he does return, if he returns. Your backup is a banged-up Zach Moss and Deion Jackson. This is a gong show. If you look at it fantasy-wise, I literally want to touch nobody on the Colts team except maybe Anthony Richardson for fun because I just think he's going to be a madman out there, but he's going to throw a ton of interceptions too.
So let's start with Jonathan Taylor. We know who the big running backs are, but do you even consider Jonathan Taylor for fantasy football this year? Or do you, every time you see his name, you're just going to pass on by, Andy?
As it stands today, I'm not touching him. Like I have a few do not draft list guys, and he's on there. Not because of the talent. Jonathan Taylor's one of the best backs in the league when healthy. Absolutely. But we don't know. And the biggest problem in fantasy football is if you have uncertainty, right? Is he going to sit out? Is he going to play? When he plays, is his mindset right? How's it going to look? Like, where am I going to draft Jonathan Taylor? When does it get comfortable to draft Jonathan Taylor? I'm looking right now. He's right now on average being drafted as the 9th running back off the board, 22nd overall. So late in the second round. To me, that's still too early because I don't know where he's going to go. So I have to go elsewhere. I can't trust Jonathan Taylor.
Talking with Andy McNamara. Give him a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Andy MC81. That's right. Andy, I mean, there's so much I want to ask you. As selfishly, I have my fantasy football draft on the 31st. So,
nice.
I need to knowledge up here, level up. But let me start with this, a broad yet important question. Give me 2 to 3 sleeper picks. We love to throw this question and topic out there, but it's always an important one. I think everyone knows what the top 6 to 8 guys on most fantasy draft boards will look like. But give me a couple sleepers that you've pinpointed.
I love at wide receiver for PPR format. For those listeners who might be a little new-ish to fantasy football, PPR means you get a point every time the player touches the ball, compared to standard where it's usually based after 10 yards. So depending on the format, Elijah Moore is one of my top guys. Traded to the Browns from the Jets. And the reason is because, and this is why you have to follow how the developments of. Oh, am I on there with you still?
Yeah, we got you, Andy. We got you back now.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
You froze for a moment, then you came back.
I had this circle of death there for a moment. Yeah. What I'm saying is, for like Elijah Moore, you have to how are these new players integrating into their offenses? And Elijah Moore quickly became an integral part. So much so that when he had a hurt rib for it was a couple of days, the offense in practice looked lost. Now that to me tells me, okay, well, if I'm looking at an Elijah Moore, with the mindset of this could be my flex guy, with how much he could be used in a now heavy passing offense for the Browns, where you have him lined up in the backfield. You have him lined up in the slot. You have him outside. So now he's getting a whole bunch of touches. And if he has a flex side and could pop on certain weeks, that's a heck of a value where you can get Elijah Moore. I want to be all over Elijah Moore in as many drafts as possible.
Listeners out there, feel free to hit us up on the text board if you have a fantasy football question, comment, concern for Andy. We will judge if it can make the cut and read it off to him here on the air as we are breaking all things down related to fantasy football. Andy, give me someone that's overrated in your mind. I mean, someone that you say, you know what, certainly we'll see him go in the first round, early second in most fantasy drafts, but you say, you know what, for reasons, A, B, or C, I personally am staying away.
Excellent question. And I'll give you one, and we can swing back to this other guy, another under the radar guy, crazy as it sounds, where he's being drafted is Aaron Rodgers. It's wild how late people are taking Aaron Rodgers, but we can get into that a little bit later. An overdrafted guy, I think I got 2 in their quarterbacks. I got Justin Fields of Chicago, and I have Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. And I'll start with Fields. And the reason is not that I don't think Fields is a good player and can keep going, but people are putting him on the same trajectory of a Jalen Hurts year over year. No, he doesn't have the pieces around him. And I don't think he has the upside of what I saw anyway coming out of college of Jalen Hurts. Again, he's got the legs. People love how he can run. Is he going to be better? Probably. Does he have the pieces around him? Not really. And he's being drafted ahead of the 6th or 7th quarterback. That's way too high. Ahead of a Dak Prescott, ahead of Aaron Rodgers, even ahead of like a Kirk Cousins, sometimes ahead of Justin Herbert. Like, that just makes no sense to me. It's not that I would be upset if I had Justin Fields as my quarterback, but not as high as he's going. No way.
Andy, let's get some questions for you. Andy joins us on the Elite Acura hotline. Visit Elite Acura during the Summer of Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade. Online at EliteAcura.com. Andy Cole from LBI chimes in. Says, I keep getting pick 4 in my 12-team leagues. Garrett Wilson did not make it back to me last time. Am I crazy if I take Garrett Wilson at 4?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But don't take Garrett Wilson at 4. I understand you want your guy at some point you can reach, but the first round is not the time. No, at 4, that's wild. Your league would be thrilled if you took Garrett Wilson at 4. At number 4, you can get an Austin Eckler. You can get a Travis Kelce. You can get a Cooper Kupp. You can get a whole bunch of other players that are going to do more for you. Now, I want Garrett Wilson in the second round if he's there. I do. And I want to pair him with Aaron Rodgers, who I can get probably in the 10th round. So I love the pairing, but you just can't give up the value and potential of other players at that 4 spot overall. Can't do it.
Another texter wants to know, they didn't leave their name, but they said, is Sam Howell a sleeper quarterback?
No.
All right, next question.
Sam, let's no. Sam Howell, come on, man. Ron Rivera, come on. He's getting fired and next year. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna see how far Sam Howell gets drafted here. Let's have some fun. Okay. Sam Howell, 184th overall. Okay. A spot ahead of Mac Jones. Good Lord.
I would take Mac Jones over Sam Howell.
I would Sam Howell. No, don't. He's not a sleeper. You know a sleeper? I'll give you a sleeper. Desmond Ridder. We've talked about this before on the show, Josh. You want guys who can at least run around and stuff like that. Sam Howell's just a guy, right? It's like Desmond Ridder on that Falcons team. He can run coming out of the draft. Very cerebral, smart quarterback beyond his years. Very impressive. Has the arm. Is he raw? Yes. Is he in the right offense? Is he being coached up properly? I don't know. But what I do know is he has some exciting pieces around him that he could utilize in that kind of free-flowing offense that they're using, plus the legs. So that's the guy I would want as a sleeper, as a backup in one quarterback leagues to see. Sam Howell, I can get 10 Sam Howells in every draft. I don't want Sam Howell.
I'm out on Desmond Ridder, though. I disagree with you on that. I'm passing on him until he shows me something. Then
it's too late.
Yeah.
I'd rather be too late. I mean, look, the guy to me was way overrated coming out of college. He has an average arm. His athleticism is overrated to me. And, I don't care how smart and intelligent you are. You got to execute still on the football field, And at some point, I need to see more from Desmond Ridder than congratulations. He wasn't Marcus Mariota last year. I need more than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. And it's a definite wild card, right? There's a lot that could go right, could go wrong. I just want, that's at the end of the draft. I'm not going to rush or reach for him. Got my guys. If he's there, I always like to draft a backup quarterback and backup tight end to my fantasy teams. Cover off bye weeks, get maybe some trade bait, whatever, cover off injuries. So that's somebody I would want to see. And then if he's not doing it, get rid of him. I can go get Sam Howell because he's going to be there. Sam Howell's going to be there.
Shaner and EHT chimes in at 609-403-0973 on the text board. Andy, Shaner and EHT's question is, I need to keep 2. He's in a keeper league. You lose 3 rounds per pick, he says. You got all that?
Oh, boy. Okay. We're doing math now. Keep track, gentlemen.
He has to keep 2 out of these 3.
Okay.
DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, or White?
Wouldn't be.
Ryan,
Mike
can you help me
White.
out with this? Who would be our White? It can't be Roddy White. Roddy White doesn't play in the NFL anymore.
Roddy White's long gone.
Yeah, not sure there. Andy would probably know as well as I. I mean, there's a lot of guesses.
So a last name White. Let me see. I'm trying to think. Let me see if anything.
It says R White.
Rashad White, Tampa Bay.
Maybe
running back.
Yeah,
RB26. If that's the guy, that's the one you can let go.
Right.
Well, let's focus on Hopkins and Ridley then. How do you feel about those two?
Or Zamir White, RB59 for Vegas. If it's any of those two, you can let them go. Yeah.
But talk to us about Ridley and Hopkins then.
I would take if we want to break that down, I think Ridley's going to have a hell of a year. And not enough people are talking about him. Not enough people are talking about Calvin Ridley. This is somebody who's obviously fresh, super motivated, at the top of his game in a system that is ascending in Jacksonville. Remember, folks, we only saw the peak, I think, of what Trevor Lawrence can do because Doug Peterson, you guys in that market know him better than anybody, deprogrammed the stink of Urban Meyer, fixed him up, fiddled with the wires, and got him going. Well, now you have a full offseason of that. Now you had a weapon like Calvin Ridley. This could be his go-to guy. I think Calvin Ridley, sky's the limit. DeAndre Hopkins is on the downturn. Still could be serviceable. He'll get his if he can stay healthy. He'll get his. But Calvin Ridley I think he's going to be the real deal. And I definitely want some shares of Calvin Ridley.
Andy, let me zoom out, so to speak, with you for a second and talking strategy. You look at quarterbacks, right? You have Mahomes, you have Hurts, Allen, probably tier one, and you can add to that or subtract from that. But my point is there's always debates on strategy. Do you go and get Mahomes if he's there on the board, late first round, early second, wherever he may fall? Or are you someone that says, listen, no disrespect to Mahomes, but you go and get another running back, you go and get a wide receiver, and there's plenty of opportunity on the back end to get a guy, i.e. Aaron Rodgers, or heck, even a guy like, Kirk Cousins, right? Like you have someone on the back end of the draft that can still give you 20 points a week. And now you stacked more important areas of your roster.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the camp of you wait a bit on the quarterback. Maybe not as much as you did previous years, but whatever. So this is what I tell people. Whenever you think of something like, should I take Mahomes first round? Should I take a play? Who are you passing on? And can you backfill that position that you're passing on well enough compared to the position you're taking? So you're right. Take Patrick Mahomes. You're not going to regret taking Pat Mahomes as the position player. But what you will regret is you missed out on a star running back or Travis Kelce at tight end or a stud wide receiver. And now you have to backfill those positions where if you wait, you can get an Aaron Rodgers. Depends if you're bullish on Russell Wilson. Even, look, real life wise, I'm not interested. Fantasy wise, Daniel Jones was pretty good last year, right? Like Daniel Jones that's somebody you can wait on a bit. You can wait on those. Even Geno Smith, if you're a believer, like you can get Geno Smith as the 16th quarterback off the board. Like there's time to wait and you can stack up those other positions. So I'm always of the belief you wait on quarterback. At least I just can't do it before at least the third round, probably the fourth, but at least the third.
This may be a little bit too similar to my question I asked you earlier in the conversation regarding sleeper picks, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. Give me a name or two, or however many you want, Andy, but names that are going to be on the back half of the draft. So let's say like round 6 or 7 or lower. I mean, I'm not going to force you to predict waiver wire names because that could be tricky, but feel free if you want to give that a go. But you get where I'm leading you here. Give us some insight on the later rounds of the draft that you say, you know what, this can really help you build your roster and win your league.
So this is where you want to see how you've built your draft so far in those later rounds. Now, did you take an RB0 approach where you didn't draft a running back for the first 5 rounds? Okay, well, you're going to have to spend those picks on running backs. Did you get one good receiver, but maybe you didn't get enough? Did you take a later tight end and you know what? Not loving it. Maybe I could get somebody a little bit later on with that. So it really depends how it's built out. A name that's been jumping out to me a little bit more is Marvin Mims Jr. of the Broncos, because you have the Jerry Jeudy bang up. You have Tim Patrick out. You got Cortland Sutton, who's a beast, but then Mims in the slot. And again, I'll go PPR because he'll need his touches. This is not somebody that you're going to have as your WR1 that's going to win you your league, but he could be somebody that if Russell Wilson bounces back and that offense goes as it could as a rookie, maybe the second half of the year, he starts coming on and he's sitting on your bench and all of a sudden he starts rising up a little bit. So those are some guys that's one guy I think could be really good. Daniel Jones, again, is somebody who is going later in drafts that we have to separate him and Kirk Cousins. You have to separate the real life from fantasy. Real life wise, we don't want Kirk Cousins in a big game. Yeah, he's not going to win. Right? Daniel Jones too. Do I want Daniel Jones quarterbacking my real life favorite team? No. But on my fantasy team, he can run around and Kirk Cousins can throw up the ball to Justin Jefferson a lot. So those are the type of players who can get me that value a little bit later on, right? Is there something you want to dig into? Like even a Jared Goff, like, you know what I mean? Like Jared Goff is at quarterback. Like he was the QB 10. He was a QB 1 last year. You can wait on Jared Goff. So it's really trying to develop and see where does the draft come to you. And if you miss on, let's say it's a star tight end, try to get a couple of those guys. Because man, last year it was something like between tight end 4 and 11 or 13, it was like 7 to 10 point different. Like it gets ugly quick at that position. So you might want to stack that.
And a couple more before we let you go. Who is a guy that you think is going to have a good season in real world football, but maybe not as good of a season in fantasy football?
Ooh. Now that's an interesting question. Yeah. Okay. So you know what? Let's the Cowboys jumped out to me here on that type of question. I like that one because it's a case where you can almost get it a little bit reversed, right? Where it's like we talk about who could be good fantasy, but not real life. And now we go the opposite way. I think somebody like a Michael Gallup. I think someone like a Michael Gallup who's at times been able to flash WR2 potential, got banged up last year. You know, is he going to have his opportunities? Brandon Cooks is in town, but you know, he's far from perfect. But I think Michael Gallup, when we look at it, is going to be more of a possession guy who is useful, who can get the job done for what the Cowboys need. But on your fantasy team, probably pretty unexciting. Probably not a whole bunch of touchdowns, you know, and maybe that's where, but I think real life wise, he could be useful. So I'll say Michael Gallup.
Yeah, especially considering the fact that the Cowboys bringing in Brandon Cooks is going to take a lot more of Gallup's touches out of the conversation. So you might not get the touches, but he might be that guy who drives you nuts on third down, who gets some conversions. It's good pull by you.
Moves the chains.
Couple more here for Andy McNamara at AndyMC81 on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it these days. Andy, obviously, you know, one of the conversations we've been battling back and forth about, not me and Ryan necessarily, but me and the listeners actually, is Dak Prescott. You know, I'm having to explain to people last night that Dak Prescott doesn't stink. He doesn't. But where does Dak Prescott land in terms of fantasy football for Andy McNamara?
I was the last at least 2 years. I loved getting Dak Prescott on my team because he kind of fell into some of the names we landed to before. Not the sexiest pick, but he would always run in 4 touchdowns. You know, and he would pop up a bunch of yards, but it wouldn't necessarily be super exciting. Well, now he had a terrible year. He had the most interceptions last year. I still think that's more of a one-off. And Dak Prescott could be one of those players. He's in a crossroads year. He really is. Like this could continue to go average and down. Or, you know, you could look at him and be like, okay, maybe he pops up. Let me put it this way. Here's some people going before Dak Prescott: Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. After him, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones. So would I take Dak Prescott over Tua with the injuries? Hell yes, I would. I don't want Tua at all because he's going to get hurt. Would I take him over Kirk Cousins? Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe Daniel Jones. Deshaun Watson's a wild card. I wouldn't take him over Aaron Rodgers, but Justin Fields depends on your risk reward. Dak Prescott's going to give you a higher floor, but he's not going to give you the boom weeks of, let's say, a Justin Fields or, you know, an Anthony Richardson type of thing, who's being way overdrafted. So I think Dak bounces back. And by the end of it, we probably see him as a back-end QB1, maybe in the 10 to 12 range in fantasy football.
All right, Andy, before we let you go, we got to know. So, rumor has it that Ryan Rothstein is going to join our fantasy football league this year. So, Andy, you are actually part of our 97.3 ESPN Fantasy League.
Yes.
So, give Ryan your sales pitch for the league.
Oh, well, you're playing with the cream of the crop, brother, as Macho Man would say, right? This is the cream of the crop. You want to play excellence, you want to win, you can win with your buddies' league, the guys who barely watch the game, people who don't pay attention, don't set their up. What fun is winning that? You want to go with pros. You want to go with the best. And then if you win, you're the best of the best. So that's why you should join.
Sold.
It's good promo cut.
All he had to do was the brother. And
brother. Let's go. I'll put anybody over. Let's go.
At Andy MC 81 on Twitter. It's called The Sick Podcast. Is where you catch his podcast. And for all of his other work, give him a follow on the social media platforms. All guests, he joined us on the Elite Acura hotline. Andy, great stuff today. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Good stuff, boys. Talk to you soon.
Visit Elite Acura during the Summer of Performance event located on Route 73 North in Maple Shade, online at EliteAcura.com. Andy Mack just cut a good promo there on the spot, Ryan.
Really did. I mean, the guy's a pro's pro. Enough said. And seriously, great insight. All things fantasy.
Yeah, that's why I have him on every year. Just, on the other side, we're going to hit the reset button on the show, Ryan. We're going to give the people maybe some of the thoughts and topics we didn't get to throughout the show, reset the Eagles roster conversation, all that and more, plus a former 76er might pop up in the conversation as well. And something that ESPN is doing for college football this year. I need to get Ryan Rothstein's thoughts as well. So we'll bounce around a few more topics throughout the hour. Plus, text board is open at 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig, Ryan Rothstein, playing for Mike Gill on a Tuesday edition of the Sports Bash.
You haven't downloaded the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app? Well, go get it now to follow all the Philly sports teams at 97.3ESPN.com. Powered by
Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Sports Center. The Eagles' initial 53-man roster is out, and they have kept only 4 wide receivers and 3 linebackers currently on the roster. Among the names the Eagles did not release before the 4 p.m. deadline includes Marlon Tuilapotopo, Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. The Eagles' initial 53-man roster came out after 4:30 today. Among the observation takeaways from the roster includes the Eagles only keeping 4 wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Olamide Zaccheaus on the roster, as well as on defense, the Eagles keeping Moro Ojomo and Kentavious Street on the defensive line. Only 3 linebackers, along with 7 cornerbacks, are currently on the Eagles roster, along with no punter on the current roster. Phillies are back in action tonight. Michael Lorenzen gets the start for the Phillies as they take on the Angels, looking for their 5th straight win. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
Blatt Nissan.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, AJ the Trade Man wants your trade. Plus, with your job clearing $350 per week, you're practically approved with 0 down and 0 interest on every new Nissan in stock. For 36 months, all backed by Matt Blatt's 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Only at MattBlattNissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through DMAC, negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 9/7/2023. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm Josh Hennig with your South Jersey Sports Center. The Eagles' initial 53-man roster came out after 4:30 today. Among the observation takeaways from the roster includes the Eagles only keeping 4 wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Quez Watkins, and Olamide Zaccheaus on the roster, as well as on defense, the Eagles keeping Moro Ojomo and Katavius Street on the defensive line. Only 3 linebackers, along with 7 cornerbacks, are currently on the Eagles roster, along with no punter on the current roster. Phillies are back in action tonight. Michael Lorenzen gets the start for the Phillies as they take on the Angels, looking for their 5th straight win. Get more Eagles, Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers when you download our app. Your forecast is next.
Atlantic City is your place for really fun, really cool times this summer. Live it up with a true original. Enter to win an authentic AC getaway at AtlanticCityNJ.com.
The rest of the day, some scattered showers, certainly a possibility. Overnight tonight, we're looking at cloudy sky across South Jersey. Maybe some scattered thunderstorms after midnight to low 72. Those thunderstorms actually could extend into tomorrow morning. But tomorrow afternoon, clearing, partly sunny. Tomorrow's high 86. The rest of the week looks pretty great. No rain in sight through Labor Day, with sunshine every day. High temperatures in the upper 70s to mid-80s. That's your South Jersey weather forecast. I'm Joe Kelly. Have a great afternoon.
South Jersey business owners, when Eagles football returns to the airwaves this season, don't miss out. Make sure your business is a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick on 97.3 ESPN. Touchdown! Every week, the NFL's most passionate fan base flocks to 97.3 ESPN radio to listen to their favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. Advertising with the Eagles can help your business connect with the consumers you are trying to reach. 97.3 ESPN is the most listened to sports source in all of South Jersey. That's what makes 97.3 ESPN such a powerful station for your business's message. So this Eagles season, don't have your business sitting on the sidelines. Be a part of the Philadelphia Eagles season on 97.3 ESPN. To be a part of the Eagles season, call Market President Mike Rubel at 609-910-5249.
Now, back to the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
That's right. Welcome back. Welcome back. We are live here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Ryan Rothstein and Josh Hennig hanging out with you on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill. Fun show. Thanks again to Andy Mack, dropping some fantasy football knowledge on us to start off the 5 p.m. hour. We got you for another 30 minutes, a little bit less, taking you up to 6 p.m. like we do each and every weekday here on 97.3. Continue to join the conversation via the text board. Hit us up, 609-403-0973, whether it's Phillies talk, Eagles talk, fantasy talk, other talk, whatever's on your mind, as always. We'll try and work that into the conversation here throughout the rest of the show. So, all right, Phillies, as we've discussed plenty about, they're looking for another win tonight at home against the Angels and Ohtani. Man, so much happening in the NFL as the final 53 deadline, 4 p.m. Eastern time. We've just been throwing out all the breaking news as it comes across our radar. And of course, how it pertains to the Philadelphia Eagles. And, now we get to sort of officially turn the page on the summer as it relates to the Birds and the preseason, of course. And we inch closer and closer to real life football, Josh. And, speaking of real life football, a fun debate that is taking place on social media.
Yeah, so because I don't watch this show, I had no idea this was a topic, but Richard Sherman got into a very intense argument earlier today on Fox Sports 1 with Michael Irvin and Keyshawn Johnson. He's basically saying that it's harder to cornerback is one of the hardest positions to play, and it's harder than wide receiver in the NFL. To which Darius Slay retweeted, corner is way harder than wide receiver. Now, remember, Slay has played wide receiver a little bit over the years. So, maybe he thinks he's talking from experience. Well, A.J. Brown retweeted Darius Slay saying, I strongly disagree. To which Slay said, no way, AJ, LOL. To which AJ Brown said, let's talk about ... podcast.
Nice.
So I'm hoping we get a podcast episode out of these two.
That would be epic. So corner versus wide receiver, which is the more difficult position to play? And you out there, give us your thoughts, your answer, and why. 609-403-0973. I mean, I'll start us off. It's corner, and I don't think it's particularly close. In today's NFL, nothing benefits and favors the cornerback in today's game of football, particularly in the NFL. All the rules favor the offense. Everything favors the wide receiver. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, without even realizing we were going to get into this debate and topic of conversation, there is no Revis Island, I said. And that's not necessarily just a knock on today's talent. It also factors in to the rules and how much the offense benefits from the rules and how today's game is played, Josh. That's how I look at it.
I say that without a doubt, corner is harder than wide receiver for two reasons. One, because we see wide receivers come out of college into the NFL all the time and play at a respectable level. Dudes from any place, anywhere can play wide receiver as long as they can run a route and not trip over themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, a cornerback has to spend the entire time not getting flags thrown on him to try to stop the wide receiver from doing whatever he wants. Basically, a wide receiver can do with anything he wants within reason. A cornerback can't. The cornerback he can't touch the receiver can touch the corner, but the corner can't touch the receiver half the time. There's the whole rule of after 5 yards, you can't jam the receiver. What if you jam him at 6 yards? Flag. If you literally don't turn around on a ball thrown your way, a flag will be thrown on you. As a corner, you have to be practically perfect. A wide receiver can have a busted play in the Super Bowl, run the wrong route and catch a touchdown, because that's what the Chiefs did, because they had Patrick Mahomes. You could have Patrick Mahomes and still be an NFL receiver. A cornerback, basically, there's a reason why there's so few good corners. Yep. I would argue there's double the amount of good receivers that there are to good corners.
I would, absolutely. I would back that up immediately, and I would say, if not more than that, the gap could be even wider than that, Josh. And you say you have to be perfect if you're a corner. I agree, but I would also, here's another, wise rye analogy. Let's see if it's any better than my previous ones, but I equate it to baseball, right? Like, you have to have mental toughness if you're a corner, because you have to be perfect. And even trying to be perfect, most of the time you're going to fail. Like, if you're a corner, you're going to get beat in today's NFL. You're going to let up touchdowns. You're going to let up big plays, almost out of your control at times. So you have to bounce back from that, and you have to continue to try and play that position perfect at an elite level. Wide receiver, if you run a slant route and you're open and the ball hits you in the hands and you drop it, you could be riding pine for the rest of your life, right? There's not a much of a margin for error at wide receiver, where corner, you have to learn how to just get comfortable failing.
That is a much better analogy, by the way.
Nice.
It's
yes.
It's the idea that baseball, I mean, you're a 300 hitter and you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And probably corner is probably similar. If you stop a little more than 2/3 of the balls thrown your way, you're probably a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely, you are. Yeah, I would agree. So it doesn't seem like on the surface, like, corners are one of the tougher positions, but yeah, I would say absolutely it is.
Maybe that's why the Eagles kept 7 corners on their initial 53-man roster, because they're like, hey, I can always find a receiver, but corner, maybe not so much.
Not so much.
They're maybe a commodity. Maybe A.J. Brown is just mad because he realizes he can't play corner.
I don't know. I think I would be okay with A.J. Brown back there in the secondary, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I mean, it's funny because on the New Heights pod with Jason Travis Kelsey, they have both said that they believe corner is the hardest position to play in football. That's not the quarterback.
Interesting. At one point in time, you certainly would say, linebacker, middle linebacker, but that has evolved, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would get on board with that, corner. And you could argue corner is probably one of the tougher positions to play in sport, period. Quarterback is one in football, and then corner's two. Yeah.
And then probably the third hardest position is, you said in sports.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to open this dialogue up, you can argue
Major League Baseball catcher.
Yeah, you can argue catcher. You can argue coming out of the bullpen in baseball. You can argue a goalie in the NHL.
In the NHL, right?
I think they're all in play here. A kicker is stressful, but I can't put it in this conversation legitimately.
No, we can bring that back up again really quick?
Yeah.
So for those who didn't hear the news earlier, the Eagles have released Aaron Sipas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Howie Roseman said they'd like to bring him back on the practice squad. But the reason why I bring it up is because the Jets cut their veteran punter, Tom Morstead, in basically a salary cap saving move. If I'm the Eagles, I go out and get him. I say, hey, boys, that's your mistake. We're stealing your punter. That's what I would do.
Why? You just want to steal a punter?
He's better than Sipas.
Well, dude, Sipas sucks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but you're not really saying much there.
Listen, at least Thomas Morstead is a top half of the league punter. Sipas is a bottom 10 of the league punter.
He's a bottom feeder.
Yeah.
Just a worthless fella. No, it's
all right. Give me this Ben Simmons story that you saw earlier, fine. Because this, I mean, I don't like Ben Simmons anything at this point, but sometimes he says stuff and you have to pay attention because it's just so ridiculous.
Well, I mean, anything you hear Ben Simmons, right? If Josh or I say Ben Simmons, I would imagine most of your reaction is, oh boy, now what?
Cringe.
That's
what the reaction is.
Yeah, or why the bleep are they bringing this dude's name up?
Right.
I mean, amongst some other things. So let me just rewind it briefly. Did you see yesterday the social media post of Ben Simmons, of course, shirtless, in a random gym taking jump shots? He posted that video.
That's news
yesterday. It's not news, but it's just
that's like the Ben Simmons go-to move.
It's his go-to move, and you almost have to respect him doing it once again after how irrelevant he's become. So that was yesterday, and now we have Ben Simmons quoted today talking about where he would like to be traded. He was asked that, paraphrasing the question. And Ben Simmons, I mean, I can't even believe it. But Ben Simmons says, I'll always have love for Philly. People always ask me, like, if you were to get traded again, where you want it to be. I always say, just Philly. Philly is a second home to me. I mean, really, the guts, for lack of a better word, that he has to say that with a straight face. What is he trying to do there? He's just messing with us. I mean, I don't care. It's just hilarious at this point. I think this dude is out of the league within 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah, 8. I'm giving him 8 months. I'm not even giving him a full calendar year. I mean, what? We literally ran you out of town. You ran yourself out of town. And now here you are saying Philly is home. You would love to come back to Philly and play. It's just unreal, this dude, Josh.
The disconnect he has with reality is actually borderline impressive.
He couldn't be more disconnected. He could not be more disconnected. And there's reports now he's looking to be dominant again this season. He said the same crap last offseason. He was on JJ Redick's podcast talking about how good he feels, how he's going to come back and have a big year playing alongside KD. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, I will not believe anything Ben Simmons says or does until he plays at least 65 games of an 82-game schedule, and he attempts at least 1-3 a game. That's where I'm at. I need at least 65 games, attempting 1-3 a game, and averaging his old Sixers stats again. If he does that for 1 year, then I'll take him seriously. How about that?
That's fair, and that's never going to happen. So
I'll never take him seriously.
You're never going to take him seriously.
All right, before we hit the break, I got to get this story to you, Ryan.
Okay.
So ESPN has entered a theatrical distribution agreement. They're going to televise college football games in movie theaters. They are going to air ACC games along with bowl games such as the Chick-fil-A Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and the college football playoff semifinals. Ryan, would you go to a movie theater to watch a football game?
So basically, they're continuing to put garbage in movie theaters. The ACC and bowl games we don't care about. I mean, it's not the SEC, and it's not the college football playoff. So, no, listen, all jokes aside, I like the idea, right? Because come bowl season, and I don't know how many ACC games are going to be incorporated, but regardless, not important. People are always looking for a place to watch the game. You're always looking for, all right, I'm in this city. Where's the alumni group? Where's the place to hang out with my fellow Mountaineers? Let's go Dub V for me personally. So I think a movie theater setup could be pretty cool. You need to have a bar involved, though.
Yeah, see, that's my thing. I don't know if this company, this Theater Sports Network, I don't know if they're affiliated with how many movie theaters.
Yeah, like
that
what
actually,
theater?
Well, it doesn't say here.
Okay.
It just talks about that it's a delivery platform, 5,000 screens across the U.S. and Canada. That doesn't give me a lot. Look, there are a certain group of movie theaters in our area that you can bring alcohol into, that you can bring extra food into.
Right.
If it was held at those movie theaters, like in Stern Harbor or Rio Grande or Ventnor, or basically down the street from us on Tilton Road here, maybe that one, because that one doesn't have the alcohol thing, but the other three, I should say.
Yeah.
If it's something where people are like, hey, I can go to the bar, I can get some food and drink and bring it in, and at halftime I can go get more, then I'd say, yeah, this is a great idea. But if it's a random movie theater that doesn't have those options, I think this is a dumb idea.
Well, it's also most likely not going to be like a literal movie theater, your traditional movie theater atmosphere. You're just going to be in a theater, but I'm sure it's not going to be like, shh, hey, down in front.
Right.
I'm sure it's going to be loud. You're just going to be in that room with a massive movie screen.
I mean, if you're telling me I'm getting the food and drink and the reclining seats, then sure, I'm interested. But like you said, it also is the ACC. So like, how many of these games do you actually want to watch? Now, the bowl games is interesting because the bowl games are around the holidays. And, maybe it's like, hey, you and your friends, what if West Virginia has a good year and they're in the Peach Bowl or the Cotton Bowl or something, and you can't go to the game, and you're like, hey, let's go to the theater and watch it. That's not a bad move to me.
No, listen, if nothing else, I respect the idea and trying something new. And I think it's a genius business move from whichever movie theater brand or brands are going to be hosting these games in their theater because they're trying to get more people in the door. They're trying to expand and generate more revenue. So I think this is a great way to test that out. I think it's cool. I give them credit.
I'm intrigued. I'm not saying I'm bought into it yet, but I'm intrigued. I would need a little more information about like where exactly this would be at. Because
you're a huge, not only movie person, but going to the theater. And obviously you're a sports.
I'm a big college football fan
and college football. So, I mean, this is ticking all the boxes for Josh Hennig.
It just has to be the right place. It's got, like I said, it's got to be the place where I'm getting all my amenities.
Yeah, you need some food, you need some drink.
Because like when you go to the movie, like I'm a popcorn guy. I always get popcorn when I go to the movies.
Of course.
And I like getting in the recliner chair, hit the button next to me, put my feet up, and just lose about 2 hours of my life and with popcorn in a movie.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to see a college football game, which like, for example, according to reports, one of the games they're going to show is the North Carolina, South Carolina game this weekend. Well, I want my food amenities.
Who doesn't?
I want I don't want it just to be popcorn and that's it if I'm watching a football game.
Sure. I agree with that.
I think that's where I kind of like draw the line. For me, at least.
No, listen, I'm with you.
I'm going to go see Equalizer 3 at some point this weekend when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So like for a movie, I want popcorn. For a football game, I want food and drink.
You want alcohol and, wangs.
Or burgers.
Whatever
your preference is.
Or a cheesesteak.
Kind of depends on what establishment you're at.
Of course. Of course.
Some places have better wings and burgers and wings and well, that's not a conversation. Maybe that's a happy hour Friday conversation.
That is.
He's Ryan Rothstein. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you, filling for Mike Gill. We'll wrap up the show coming up on the other side.
From the beach.
The beaches are open and people are having a wonderful time.
To the ballpark.
Swing and a high fly ball. Left field. That one is back. Gone. Harper delivers.
We've got you covered. The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Booking Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to Ocean. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. They'll fit your space, fit your needs, and with extra large capacity, Samsung laundry pairs can fit more loads in less time. Plus, with free delivery on orders of $396 and up, you won't have to worry about fitting your new laundry pair in the back of your car. Get up to $700 off select appliances like Samsung only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. We're the health plan you know with a new name and look. If you're a member, nothing is changing. You have the same benefits and services and can continue to see the doctors you trust in our New Jersey network. And if you need health insurance, count on us for quality, affordable coverage. WellCare of New Jersey is now Fidelis Care. Call 1-888-453-2534, TTY 711, or visit fideliscarenj.com.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain.
So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
All right, team. Apps on the table by 7:30 sharp.
Jalen and his catering company have a lot on their plate.
Really particular.
He needs a bigger team to continue climbing up the food chain.
Throughout this event. Hey, Mitch, was that a contract for 200 or 250 people?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Paid for by ERC Business Solutions.
The following is a public notice for business owners affected by COVID-19. Due to the recent expansion of the Employee Retention Tax Credit, you may be eligible to receive compensation of up to $26,000 per employee on your payroll throughout 2020 and 21. However, time is running out for you to apply for this credit. At ERC Business Solutions, we make it simple. To encourage as many business people as possible to take advantage of this program before the window closes, a toll-free telephone number has been established for you to rapidly check your eligibility. There are no application fees, and the average call takes less than 8 minutes. That number is 888-449-3604. 888-449-3604. To see if you qualify to receive a check from the U.S. Treasury Department for up to $26,000 per employee before the program ends, call 888-449-3604. A team of ERC specialists are awaiting your call at 888-449-3604. Once again, 888-449-3604.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's got to be a
Matt Blatt Kia. Now, back to more Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's sports leader.
All right, wrapping up the show. Josh Hennig, Ryan Rothstein filling in for Mike Gill. Ryan, I think we covered a lot of bases today.
I think we touched them all, some would say.
You excited for the Phillies game tonight?
Yeah, man, I'm locked in.
How many runs did they score tonight?
Ooh. I'm going to go 5. 5 runs scored, they win.
What, like a 5-2 game?
Let's go 5-0.
5-0. Wow.
5-0.
Just shut them out.
Shut them out.
Ohtani,
Shut them down.
Nothing.
Zippo.
We'll be back in tomorrow filling in for Mike Gill. We'll talk more about the Eagles and their roster, plus the Phillies. Hopefully another win tonight. All that and more tomorrow on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash at WiseRye on Twitter and X. I'm Josh Hennig on Twitter and X. Have a great night, everybody. We'll catch you tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN.
Thursday on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football. We kick off the 2023 season with a cross-country showdown as Cam Rising and the 14th-ranked Utah Utes host Graham Mertz and the Florida Gators. Hi, it's Greg Daniels. Join Chad Brown and me for all the action as the hunt for the college football playoffs starts now. It's number 14 Utah hosting Florida. If it's NCAA football, it's right here.
It's college football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's got to be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Feel your teeth. How grimy are they? It's time for a Crest Pro Health reality checkup. That grime is black bacteria that can cause cavities. While most toothpaste stop working in minutes, Crest Pro Health's antibacterial fluoride protects for up to 12 hours to stop cavities before they start. Smile, Crest has you covered.
With Labor Day savings at the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking. With top brand appliances, like a new LG refrigerator capable of making 4 different types of ice. Or an LG oven with built-in air fryer for healthier, crispier options. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online, your innovative new appliances are also just a click away. Get up to $700 off select appliances, plus an extra $1,000 off LG kitchen appliances, only at the Home Depot. Pricing valid 8/24 through 9/13, U.S. only. See store or online for details.
Ruthie, our last summer barbecue is this weekend, and it has to be epic.
Well, Total Wine has this new reposado that'll rock your barbecue. And my favorite Cabernet will make your famous ribs even famous-er.
Yes, just what my last summer barbecue needed.
Wow. And at those low prices, they'll be great for my first fall barbecue.
Ooh, I'll trade you my famous ribs recipe for one of yours.
With the lowest prices for over 30 years, you'll always find what you love and love what you find. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Every business deserves a great deal. That's why, for a limited time, we're launching the Mobile Made Free event. With Comcast Business Internet, new and existing customers can get 1 year of unlimited mobile for free. Yep, you heard that right. An entire year, free. It's our best internet, powered by the next generation 10G network and with 99.9% reliability, plus 1 line of free mobile for a year. The Mobile Made Free event is happening now.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $49 a month for 12 months with no annual contract. Plus, ask how to get up to a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying bundle. Call or go online to learn more. Offer ends 9/21/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and automatic payments. New 50 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After promo,